Life is pain. Oblivion alone yields peace. You call me stranger. I call myself salvation.
The love of a god is not a blessing, it's a scar.
If destiny herself beckons me, then I shall greet her like an old lover.
There's gotta be more to life than making mistakes and making up for your mistakes.
I'm the paragon of risk and reward, behaving as more of a suggestion.
Fate is an offer I intend to reject.
You don't know me. I'm unpredictable, bitch.
I don't need to be a paragon to help save the world.
I came back for a reason, and I am not stopping until I find it.
I will solve the cataclysm, and I'll solve the mystery of myself, too. 4 paragons, 4 keepers, 1 stranger. Huh. Odds are in our favor. Now let's go save Endake. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Arc 6 of The Second Stranger. It's the 8th session of Moroz. Hello! I am your creative producer and game master, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me across the internet at byconniechang, BYCONNIECHANG, namely TikTok, Twitter, Itch, and Ko-Fi. I am so excited for this session because we're tying up, it's Arc 6, episode 16. We're tying up, wow, this arc, and then we're going to go into Arc 7, and then it's going to be Arc 8. We are so close to the end here. What? And I'm so excited for this particular episode because I wonder if I'm finally going to get my TPK that I've been waiting for 6 arcs. We'll see. I'm going to pass along introductions up and over to Dare.
We the council have decided not to die today. Hi, I'm Dare, pronouns she, they, and fae. I play Gentle, our lovely Triton monk, pronouns they, them. We're going to survive today, and you can find me on most places at Dare to Dream RPG. I'm just going to throw it down to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica, she, her pronouns, and I play V-Nog Shirzo, who's totally fine right now, nothing to worry about. And you can find me at Erica New Girl everywhere I exist on the interwebs, especially here on Twitch where I stream video games, have a good time. I'm an animated dolphin these days, maybe, who knows? So come check me out sometime. Now I'll pass it over to Humna.
Yes, hello, my name is Humna and I use any and all pronouns, and today I will be playing Tiran Gather, who uses they, he pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter at @shahid_ if you like what I do, and I will pass it up and over to Austin.
Hey, buddy, I'm Austin. You can find me on Twitter at SailorScottAustin, at Sailor SCT Austin. Today I'm playing Abiku. I refuse to die a second time Ishtar, whose pronouns are she, her. I already said where you can find me. Let's get to it, and I'm first in our announcements. I remember how to do my job around here. I'm proud to announce that our episode of The Second Stranger today is sponsored by Dimitri Opines and Explain Trade, a negotiation skill training consultancy believing in the power of D&D and Transplanar's potential to grow, tell great stories, and lift our community up. Explain Trade trains negotiators for governments, big companies, NGOs, and offers e-learning courses for individuals looking to get a better deal from their boss. That's a lot of stuff they all do. And you can find out all of that stuff at explaintrade.com. And speaking of people who help keep the wheels running around here, Erica has a very special message for our Patreons.
Yes, this is the time where we get to thank our Patreon paragons. These are folks who are subscribed to our Patreon at the highest tier, and we have a moment to thank you all for your support. Ozra, Brooke Bright, Bradley, Charles, Chilakras, Cora Eckert, Hat, Conding, Lex Slater, Marvelous, Moonflower Tea, Purple Mouse, Riso, Rue, Scruffusus, and Target. Thank you so much for your support. And now, Dare, please let Erica, Grandma Erica, maybe I don't want a reminder of what happened last episode, but if you could, please remind us what happened last episode.
Are you saying last episode didn't go well for you? Anyway, last time on The Second Stranger, Tiran finally revealed his true colors, giving V a pretty lethal drink, I'd say, revealing his plans to solo the stranger by himself. Abiku finally learned about her past, Gentle and Bud have finally put the pieces together regarding the poison, and Dran has come to V's rescue. Now Tiran is a big dragon and the fight's on the horizon. Use the exclamation point recap command in chat for a full recap. That's how that works. Now I'm going to throw it down to Humna.
As always, the titles of our episodes come from lines of poetry written by marginalized creators of all stripes. And today's episode is entitled My Alien Father from the poem Hera Calf Set Clay Fog by Deborah Morgan. And the full verse reads as follows. My alien father held open the door as I bought the lottery ticket, and September came, and the hogs would listen. But it was better to be in a mood suggestive of farm-birthed snails under the earth, the glossary under the earth. One word that simply means to live in marble.
Thank you for that, Humna, and content warnings for this episode and our campaign in general may include fantasy violence, gore, body horror, blood, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial conflict, manipulation, heights, depictions of war, complex and complicated relationships, flirting and romance, and references to sexual entanglements. So use !CW in chat at any time for a full list of these content warnings and !safety for a look at our cast's lines and veils to know what content we'll never touch no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way for the last time this arc, let's begin. Tiran the White, Lord Commander of the Chromium Order, the Cannibal Titan, fills the vault of Banur with terrible majesty. His long, serpentine form snakes throughout the chamber, winding between pillars, daises, piles of gleaming gold. Bone-white scales shimmer over his sleek, muscular form. Tufts of ice-blue fur sprout from his throat like a mane, bristling down his spine all the way to the end of his thick, whip-like tail. And carving outward from 4 pairs of scaled legs are 8 razor-sharp claws, each the size of a person. Antlers rake up and back from his head, the color of sapphires, bright blue and beautiful, the same hue as his piercing, cold blue eyes. The air quivers as Tiran rears his head back, his front claws coming up and off the ground, 30, 40, 50 feet up into the air. He opens his massive maw, brimming with teeth the size of your forearms. And he lets loose a roar. On that roar, the floor shakes. Loose pebbles cascade and rain down from the ceiling, and your eardrums vibrate in pain. And I need all of you to roll initiative.
I got an 8.
Yikes. Okay, 8 from Duran, starting off hot.
I got a synthetic 20.
Synthetic 20 from Abiku.
14.
14 from V.
A non-natural 20 from me.
Ooh, a non-binary 20 from Gentle. That's how I want to call it from now on. So Abiku and Gentle, what are your dex?
My dex score is a 20.
Same.
Okay, why don't the two of you just roll a d20 with no modifiers to see who goes first.
9? I hate the 6 and 9. I can never tell.
I got a 3, so.
Oh, hey.
Great. Okay, so I'll just make a note here. All right, top of the order, first to go is gonna be Abiku.
Okay. I know I teed up lightning arrows, so I'm just gonna try and range weapon attack, and that'll fire off for the first one. 21.
That would not hit.
Oh no, I see. They take half damage on this. So I will roll and give you the half damage. 11 damage would be half.
What does a lightning arrow look like as it ripples into existence in your hands?
I think it is this like I string my bow back, and it literally like makes this like arrow made of like force and wind. And as that's whipping into existence, it's that same energy like starts to crackle like purple lightning, and then it forms a lightning arrow instead, and it crackles as it rolls across the ground because it does splash damage, but there's no one around him. He's just big.
Yeah, actually, I think what happens is this lightning, this purple lightning shoots outward from your bow, and as it streaks through the air, we like follow it flying, right? It flies past like a floating tablet suspended above a dais, like it flies past a marble pillar, it flies past a big pile of gold, and it splashes against Tiran's, let's say his front left claw, like his shoulder area. And it just sort of, there's like lightning explodes across it and just dissipates into the ether around him. And Tiran looks completely unhurt, like completely unfazed. Like you saw the arrow hit him and splash, but he like doesn't react in any way. Like it's less than a fly.
A question I have. This is a room full of like stuff.
Yes, it is full of stuff.
Is that spear that was used to kill Tamba in this room? Can I use my like second attack action to like look for that?
You can make a perception check.
I think I'm pretty perceptive. Oh, I'm super perceptive. 25.
25. You do see a spear. It looks similar in make to the spear, like not an exact replica. It actually looks fancier than the spear Sievert used to kill Tamba. You see it floating, I think, like behind Tiran, like past like where part of his body arches upward and like another claw comes down. You see like a big spear. It looks like it's almost like made of ice, the spear tip of it. Like it's like a frozen icicle, like leashed beautifully onto like a long wooden hilt, carved in ba with like inscriptions, magical inscriptions in ba all the way up its hilt. And with a 25 on the other side of Tiran, also behind him, you see like a misty fan suspended, like I think floating at the top of the dais as well, that has like, I think as you squint, like floating patterns of clouds sort of move across its parchment.
That seems my speed. I'm gonna, I guess, use my movement to try and be right under him, probably, so.
Okay, so Abiku, you notice that your lightning arrow doesn't do anything against Tiran, and you pause, and I think you start to like book it for that fan. So you've got 30 feet, eh?
I'm good, just 30 feet. I am not a gentle, so.
Got it. So we all see Abiku turn and start to like hoof it toward that fan. I think it's probably going to take you until your next turn to get there, but you start running across the battlefield. Is that the end of your turn?
I would like to use my bonus action as a ranger to hide, because I can do that at this level. So I'm gonna like, I want to try and move it and like see like a pile of shit to like try and like slide and hide behind, hopefully, so he doesn't just like eat me.
Okay, make a stealth check.
Okay. Natural 20 for 25.
Okay, I will make a contested perception check to see if Tiran notices that you're going for that
He's
thing.
He's got really big eyes.
He's got big ol' eyes.
Come on, one.
Oh, he got a 23. Okay, so he doesn't notice you.
I'm good. I am so all right. My turn is done. Sun is going to take the dodge action to try and keep Tiran and V safe. Just like if Sun can't get out, they are just going to like be a buzzing fly that's going to be annoying to try and hit.
Awesome. Okay, so Sun's gonna entirely focus on avoiding attacks. So any attack rolls against Sun's gonna have disadvantage, and they're gonna make dex saves with advantage. Okay. Yeah. So as you book it, I think you like dive behind a huge pile of just gold nuggets and bars and like raw ore, and Sun nods, like feeling this like a connection, and it's gonna dive upward and like start to weave almost like dexterously through the air, right? Like, and we all watch as like Tiran's massive head, like as he's like snaps his jaw shut from that roar, starts to follow Sun, and you see like he's noticing that like Sun's kind of being like an annoying fly, getting hard to swat. So at the end of both you and Sun's turn, before Gentle goes, Gentle, you're on the ground, right? Or are you on? Yeah, you're on the ground. You're on the ground with
I'm
Bud.
on the ground.
Okay, you and Abiku are the only ones on the ground. So, what is your armor class?
Mine?
Yes.
22.
What's Bud's?
I don't know, dire wolves.
If it's okay with you, Bud might be wearing some like armor. That's civil.
I'm fine with dog armor. I'm fine with dog armor.
Yeah, Bud's got a little bit of dog armor on with like little pauldrons, little helmet, little chest plate. So I think that brings up his armor class to a 16, let's say. Okay, modified direwolf. Here we go. Would a 24 hit?
Yes, it would.
Okay, you and Bud are going to take, I'll just take the average here, 19 points of bludgeoning damage and another 18 points of cold damage for 37 total. As Tiran at the end of Abiku's turn sort of like slams down with his like front two claws, and his tail, his massive tail, like swings backward, like the top of it tufted, like the rest of his fur, and bam, like sweeps across the entire lair here, and like slams bodily, pummeling you and Bud, I think, across the vault. And I think this tail rearing up and then slamming down also shatters a pillar that's just in the way. It just completely decimates a pillar, and like chunks of marble go flying through the air, limestone scattering against this ground. Is there anything you can do in reaction to that, Gentle?
No, but Bud has like a hit point, so I'm deeply afraid now. Oh, fuck. Yeah, there's nothing I can do. Is it my turn?
Yes, that is one of his legendary actions. Yes, so now it's your turn.
Okay, I need to get Bud out of here immediately. He's almost dead, Connie.
Bud's fine. Bud's okay. Bud's okay. Bud baby he's good. I think like as the two of you get like slammed with this tail, Bud lets on a wow, ouch. Let me at him. Let me at him, Gentle. I'm gonna bite him back. I'm gonna and like lets out this like very aggressive, vicious growl.
Okay, Bud. First off, you can't fly, so wait till he gets low. Keep yourself safe until then. Understood?
Okay, yeah, I got it. Keep myself safe. Okay, I can do, but if there's anything, I wish I could do like a roar like that. Can he teach me how to roar next time I want to make his eardrums bleed?
I can teach you that. We can work on that. We can work on that.
All right, you got it, Gentle. And I think Bud, like Sun, will also focus on the dodge action for his turn. Yes.
Okay. So Bud will focus on dodging. V is on Sun right now, correct?
Correct.
Okay. V's not doing well, but V is also on a dragon and flying around, so that's not the best use of my focus, I think. I'm probably going to try to run up and down up Tiran. How close is he?
Well, you're right there, so probably like 30 feet.
Okay, I can absolutely do that. Yeah, I'm just going to do that thing I do, which is punch several times.
Are you infusing your fists with that poison?
Absolutely.
Okay, so before you punch, make me a medicine check.
Okay, well I have advantage because I've studied this poison a little bit. It's okay if I don't, I'm just trying to see what I can get out of it. Never mind, nat 20, that's a 30.
You're able to do it.
Let's go.
You're able to do it. Tell me what it looks like as your hands begin to brim with this like white poison.
I think you see the sort of like hand of harm, like the titular, like dark, sickly looking green, as Gentle sort of like just puts a little bit like on their hand and sort of just lets it like sit there for a second, almost like sort of getting acclimated to Gentle's like skin and body, begins to like just swirl around, and like you see the color, you said it was white. I think you see the sort of sickly green start to glow a little brighter to sort of like showcase the fact they're sort of melded in this way.
Go for it. Where are you trying to punch Tiran?
Okay, then front claws, and I imagine, because Gentle can also run on just like any surface, Gentle's like running up the underside of Tiran's neck and just like throwing a few strategic punches, like
so at his mane?
On the way up. Yes.
On the way up to his head? Okay, yeah, go for it. Make those attack rolls.
All right, let's go. 24, 14, 16, and 14.
None of those would hit. But if you'd like, you can have them all deal damage. But he will replenish a legendary action.
Before that, I am going to use focus aim. I'm going to spend 3 key points to make that 24 a 30. Does that hit?
The 30 would hit, yes. If you want the other 3 to hit, I will allow it, but he will deal damage to you back.
I'll let it
He'll
hit.
only get one smack, though. He doesn't deal damage for every hit. He only gets one smack.
I'll let it hit.
Okay, great. So roll damage
you this one.
for all four. Go for it.
44.
Yeah, so describe to me. So, Gentle, for the first time this entire sequence, you actually injure Tiran. So as you like fly up his mane and you're like running, it's like super like martial arts style. Like you go up and bam, 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 like up the length of his neck. Are you trying to deal like a final blow on his face or something like that?
Yep. I think like right between the eyes, just center forehead.
Yeah, I think you kick up off his snout a little bit and you bam, you like smack him with like your fist curled up, right? Off 5 fingers clenched tight and bam, you just hit him between the eyes. And all of you see Tiran actually like blink and like flinch backward a little bit. Like he was truly not expecting to feel that. Right? And all of you sort of see, like, from that final blow colliding with Tiran's head, almost like a pebble being dropped into the surface of the water, or like a sonic boom occurring. Like, you all see wavelengths, like, ricochet outward from where Gentle smacks Tiran in the face, and he, like, flinches backward a little bit, and, like, sort of shakes his, like, massive antlered head.
My, you annoying little gnat. What have you slathered onto your fists?
And as Tiran lowers his head back down, we see almost like a smoke trail, still like gusting upward from his face, as we see an imprint of Gentle's fist, like tiny, like a little speck, a freckle, a dot, between Tiran's massive eyes.
I'm in danger.
Is that the end of your turn? So at the end of your turn, on initiative 20, okay, this is fun. Let's see. Let me roll for this. I got the one I wanted. Okay, nice. Okay, so Tiran lets out a deep, rumbling laugh. And as that laugh echoes through this chamber, through this vault, you all feel the ground begin to vibrate again. And a Biku, hidden behind the gold, not noticed by Tiran, but your eyes are trained on that fan. You're trying to get there. You see the fan like turn and spin and like vibrate upward. And as you do, I think you see more of the details come into focus as the fan expands behind Tiran and it like opens up. And as it opens up, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until the fan is like big enough to be wielded by someone of Tiran's size. Like a massive fan that would look normal if he grasped it in one claw, but like towers over all of you behind Tiran. And as like the fan splays open, like this beautiful cloudwork like dancing over its ridges, you recognize it, Abiku. Now that your memories are back, I don't even need you to roll for it. This was your queen's fan. Queen Undu's fan of the Cloud Kingdom. She fought with this fan, she protected your people with this fan, and now Tiran has attuned to it and is forcing it to do what it does. And I need, let's see, all of you that are directly in front of him to make a dex save. And Abiku, because you're behind cover, let's say you have advantage on this dex save. And I know Sun does as well.
What if you're incapacitated?
Yeah, I think you automatically fail. But Jiran, depending on how well you do, because you're holding and trying to shield V, we can see how that works out. So it'll depend on Jiran's roll.
Okay, let's hope I roll real good.
My life is in your hands, Tiran.
25.
Okay. What did Abiku get?
Abiku got a 21, and I had to pull up Sun. That's where I keep Sun's thing on my sheet. Sun got a 25.
Oh, nice. Okay. What about Gentle?
30.
All of you save. So those of you who save will take half damage, unless you're a rogue, I guess.
Can I offer a alternative? In trading my evasion to make it so V doesn't take damage.
Okay. Then because you're trying to prevent V from taking any damage at all, Jiran, I think you'll take half damage because you still did save. Is that okay? Cool. Okay. So full damage, I'll just say that we'll have it. Okay, that's not so bad. Full damage is 20 cold damage. And if you failed, you also would have been pushed back by a massive gust of wind. But because all of you saved, I don't think you are. So now that we resolved the damage, I'll describe what it looks like. This fan like spins upward and almost like behind Tiran's head, like it's framing like his neck like a halo, and it splays outward. It ricochets up once, and then bam, it like swings down, and all of you feel a massive like blow of wind just gust over this entire chamber and like ripple his mane. It like ripples against Gentle, against Sun, against Tiran, V, Abiku, like the gold scatters, I think, Abiku, as you take like you're pummeled right to the face of like 10 points of cold damage, but I think you're able to roll out of the way and mitigate some of that. But Abiku, because of the nature of this massive gust, even though pretty much all of you save, I think that means your cover is halfway eroded. Like half of that gold pile you were hiding behind gets scattered just across the ground. Gentle, since you're right in front of Tiran, tell me how you save.
It's a gust of wind and I'm cold resistant. Two things Gentle's very used to. And I think Gentle just sort of combined like their cloak with the way they sort of move. They just sort of lean into it and sort of almost spin in such a way that like they just avoid the actual pressure and current of it and just sort of come out of the other side like maybe a little chilly, and they're just like holding themselves a little bit like tighter, but they're fine otherwise.
I love it. Yeah. So I think as you're like turning around and you like use your cloak to help like stomach some of that blow, but you still stay there, like standing strong. None of you push back. Sun weaving and dodging, Tiran flinging himself over V to like protect her from like the wintry blast of that chill. And like as the fan snaps shut and starts to descend back toward the dais and like turns small again, Tiran lets out this like low rumbling hum, and all of you hear him say, "I see. So not cold damage or anything maneuverable against you. Understood." And all of you see him start to raise a claw to prepare for his turn as he's learning from this. Next up is gonna be V.
All right, V is in Jiran's arms on
Make
top
that
of Sun.
death save.
I'm gonna use a luck point. I've got a
Okay.
couple more of those. Oh my gosh. I'm not even gonna bother you. Okay, that was a 2.
Okay, so that's one success, one failure. Are you sure you don't want to use another luck point?
Oh, fine. I'm gonna use my final luck point. Oh gosh. Okay, that's a 12.
Okay, 2 successes. We just need one more. So V, as you're on the back of Sun, I think drifting in and out of consciousness, you see Jiran's face swimming like in front of you, right? And you see his hair like blowing in like a huge gust of wind. And you see some like crystals rime, I think, on his shoulder. But he's taking it. He's like looking at you and like protecting you and defending you. And V, I think you're able to choke out a few words. What do you say?
I think she's only able to say like Scod Nectus outside. I think those are the 3 words she can say.
Okay. And speaking of which, Tiran, it's your turn next. We pan from V's struggling, blinking, half-conscious face upward to you.
Tiran hears V stirring and then say those words, and they look frantically into V's eyes. V, what do you mean outside? We can't get outside. And I think Tiran like looks around the room. Is Grim still like floating and like being used by Tiran?
Yes. So as you because I mentioned it earlier, you don't have to make a perception check again. You scan this like room that's underneath you, these gold piles fluttering past you as Sun's weaving and dodging and weaving and dodging. So it's almost kind of dizzying, but you do see it. Like we fix on it as you're sort of like rotating in like a lazy semicircle around it. Grim, the scythe, sort of like floating atop a dais, and I think you still see a ghostly vestige of Rev. Like behind Grim, it's almost like she's a ghost trapped in a invisible box behind and around Grim, and she's got these chains on her like muscular forearms, and she's pounding at like some sort of unseen wall, like soundlessly, and like shouting. She's saying something, but it can't get through.
Tiran sees that, and I think his mind goes to Rev. Like, we need Rev. Rev is a paragon, and Rev would want to help V, so we need to get her out of there somehow. So Duran kind of like leans down to Sun and says, can you get us to Grim? And as I assume probably Sun is going to like help like maneuver us towards Grim at this point, and while we're going there, Duran is going to pull out his short bow and is going to knock an arrow and aim for Grim, hoping to hit it and kind of like cause it to waver, essentially, like hopefully trying to interfere somehow with the arcane connection between Grim and Tiran. Don't know if that's possible with an arrow, but we're gonna try.
Okay, make an attack roll.
I got a nat 1. I don't have inspiration!
Okay, Duran. With a nat 1, not only do you not free Grim from Tiran's influence, you also draw Tiran's attention to what you're doing. So tell me how you do that.
Sorry, me. I think Duran like knocks the arrow and looks around and sort of like aims for Grim, but I think the fact that Tiran is so large and looming in this space and is actively attacking like all of us here, and like it's calling up all of these like magical artifacts and doing all this stuff, I think it's just kind of a lot to take in all at once. And Duran, his attention is kind of half between like, is V gonna come up at any moment? Like, is V gonna rouse? Is she gonna be okay? And half on Grim. And so I think because their attention is so divided, they can't quite aim properly, and instead the arrow just kind of goes flying, I think like just past Tiran's face instead, by accident. And like it whizzing by his face is maybe what draws his attention to Duran.
I think so, yeah, as it spirals right past that tuft of fur and hair and mane. His like icy blue eyes flick up and like start to trace Sun and you holding the short bow, and like you with V like in your grasp.
Oh, I see 1, 2, 3, 4 meddling little flies in my vault. Duran Cotter, I gave you a chance to ascend to godhood with me as my servant, as a witness to my new kingdom come, and you squandered it. I'm going to have fun using my claw to rip you open.
I would never follow a god like you.
Then die.
Is that all you can do?
Okay, so V said Scod and Nectus outside. There's two ways that I think Duran kind of interprets this. One is like literally let's go outside, which is not possible. And the other is take Scod and Nectus out of V to save them, I think is maybe Duran's other thought process. So they're just percolating on this information because they've been working on the God Jar with Dewey, right? So I think his brain kind of naturally goes to that as like a Hail Mary save of the gods. And they're kind of like thinking about this and percolating on it as I end my turn.
Okay, sounds good. At the end of your turn, Duran, are you like putting your hands on V and trying to like sense Scott and Nectus in her, or are you not there yet?
They put their hands on V and they kind of like focusing on those voices that he heard back in the tapestry room, trying to feel like where are Scott and Nectus inside of V.
Okay, make an Arcana check.
12.
As you push your hands against V's skin, trying to sense the divinity thrumming within her, you feel a barrier You're new to magic. You're new to this whole magic thing, right? Your prosthetic arm, I think, is teeming with a weave and is sort of feeding information up your stump, like up through your nervous system and like sparking info into your brain up toward that point of connection. You feel like a thick, almost like a glass wall is what it feels like, as you're like, I think you're concentrating really hard and like sweat is running down your face in these like ticklish little rivulets. You hear voices that sound holy, that feel radiant, that is like love and risk and daylight and blade and cutting and depth, just given form and sound, trapped behind a thick barrier. And I think you can sense Scott and Nectus are in her, but she's prevented from communing with her, and so are you in some way. But you can feel cracks starting to form in that barrier.
Is there any way that Tiran can tell like how to rip open those cracks more, how to expand those fissures?
With a 12, the only thing you know is you'd have to do something extremely risky. You have to punch your way in through her soul with force, I think, and you are not a soul magician.
Yet. I'm kidding.
Aspirational, Tiran. All right, is that the end of your turn? Okay, it's Tiran's turn next, baby. So Tiran rears back up, right? Like picks his huge claws off the ground, and they're all like gleaming and razor sharp as you see like his muscles begin to tense. And as he's sort of like up, like his other like 3 pairs of claws are like keeping him stable on the ground. You all hear his voice go again.
Now, I haven't done this in quite some time. You think you can stomach the cold. You think you are from Moroz and you know what chill is. Let me show you what cold is.
And you all see his mane. Something's glowing underneath it with such force that it's shining through his fur. And all of you hear like a cracking noise, and Jiran and Gentle, the 2 of you are thrown briefly into a horrible flashback of Zima Lake cracking on the night of the Cataclysm. And then you fling back to where you are right now as crack, 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 crack. This bright blue glowing light comes up his throat, and he opens his jaw, and you see like a bubbling, frothing, icy hailstorm brimming in his maw, and he's gonna let out a massive gust of a cold breath. And I need all of you to make a con save.
14.
15.
I got an 8, but Sun got a synthetic 20.
All of you fail. None of you quite hit the DC, so you're gonna take full damage. I will roll for it. I won't take the average, because hopefully I'll roll lower. Should have taken the average, Connie. All of you will take.
Still could.
I said I'd roll for it, so I gotta stick with it. It's an ancient white dragon's cold breath. So all of you will take 84 points of cold damage. If you have resistance, have it. 42.
I got bad news for people on Sun.
Are we free falling into the ground? Ah, no!
Wait, I can stop. I will use my reaction to give Sun resistance to the damage.
Cool, so Sun's still up?
Yes.
That's smart. Actually,
You realize if we take fall damage and I take that damage, it's done. We're done, okay? We're probably done here.
So it was 80 or 44 was half?
84 is
42.
full, 42 is half.
You got some more time in your Uber.
How's the rest of you doing? Anyone unconscious?
I'm still up technically, baby.
Holding on. Very, very loosely.
It's like a blizzard. Most of you are resistant to cold damage in some way, but this is cold. Tiran wasn't lying. This is like a snowstorm in the depths of Bear. Like the worst kind of snowstorm any of you have ever weathered before, and then some. Like the temperature in this room plummets as this cold breath gusts out of Tiran. It like dips to 0, -30, -60 as it goes, like this huge tempest of cold just swirls through the atrium, through the vault, and you all see like pillars instantly freeze. Like these pillars, like a flash freeze, and almost like Day of Tomorrow, right? Like we see icicles like flying like southward in the opposite direction where the wind gust came from. We see like piles of gold also flash freeze. The only things that don't are like the magical items floating off the dais. And all of you, even though you resist and you're still up, you feel icicles rhyming on your shoulders, right? Like some like chill and frost forms in your hair. It like crusts over your face and your ears, right? Gets like your bones and joints start to creak, and you feel this bone deep, marrow deep biting, like gnawing pain just getting at you from this cold. We're gonna go back to the top of the turn order, but in classic Transplanar fashion, I'd like to shake things up a bit with how we do initiative. Now that the first round is over, I want y'all to choose what your initiative order is within the team.
I was gonna say V goes absolutely last for as many chances to say V.
Yes. Maybe Duran even could go first. That's my suggestion as a helpful GM. So Duran, and then Gentle, Abiku, V. Okay. Duran, you're first.
As we're kind of like landing on the ground, Duran is going to go and try and like grab Grim.
Make me an Arcana check.
Okay.
I'll give you advantage on this. Gentle, you of all people would realize that even as Tiran snaps his jaw shut and like the coldness in this room doesn't evaporate, it stays like -60, -50 like in here. You see that like little indentation between his eyes from where you hit him with that poison. You see like white veins have begun to spread across his face. And you can feel like the magic that he has complete control, mastery, and majesty over in this vault starting to waver a little. Which is why Duran has advantage on trying to grab Grim. What'd you get?
A non-binary 20.
A non-binary 20. Yes. So your fingertips, similar to trying to like dive into the swirling portal rings surrounding the tapestry in the tapestry room, you feel that kind of force like vibrate against your fingers as you like stick through this like invisible barrier surrounding Grim at the top of the pedestal. But you're able to get through it, and it's sort of like putting your hand through like really, really intense tornado gale force wind, right? It kind of hurts as you stick your hand through it. You're getting close, you're getting close, you're getting close, and then I think your fingers try to wrap around Grim, but right before they close around the hilt, the barrier shatters because you've destroyed it, you've penetrated it with that non-binary 20. And instead of your hand grabbing the hilt, we see Rev's ghostly form suddenly corporealize, and she grabs Grim, like right before you do. And she shivers back into existence, that like black raven cloak like coming down her spine, like her hair, I think, swirling and whirling and getting like crusted on with frost icicles from this gale force. And without saying a single word, she swings that scythe through the air and like springs into the air and lands gently, like right next to V on Sun's back, and is like looking V up and down and going, no, come on. Hey, V, Visanti, come back to me. Raven Queen, please, I need you. And Abiku, you feel the Raven Queen within you surge upward, and that like closed off like silence like force barrier that had like cut the two of you, your connection severed from each other, it explodes. With Tiran's weakening hold over the magic in here and Rev's back, Paragon here, and you as the keeper having kept the Raven Queen's shard safe within your soul, all of these factors coalesce to allow Rev to fling her fist out with Grim in it, and Abiku, you feel the Raven Queen leave you in a flutter of wings and whisper and feather and grave rot. And though no one else sees it, Abiku, you witness like a beam of black and white light, I think, shoot out of your chest and sort of fly through the air and back into Grim. And upon that beam shooting into Grim, we see the scythe, the blade glisten once, and Rev's gonna lean down and I think swipe the scythe through V in like a gentle motion, and V, you feel life gasp back into your lungs. You see like tendrils of this thick milky white poison like leeching themselves up and out of your pores, like up through your chest, right, as she's like culls that poison upward out of you. And you'll regain pretty much all of your health aside from the damage you've taken since dropping unconscious,
which would put me at 13 then.
Okay, then you're at 13. You go back up to 13. Yes, but you're no longer like literally on the brink of death in a way that no one can fix. As Rev culls that poison out of you, and I think she like flings her arm outward in an aggressive, violent motion, and the poison that was floating above your face goes splat against the marble.
Tiran runs over to V. Are you okay? I couldn't feel Scott and Nectus. Are they still inside of you?
GM, can I feel Scott and Nectus within me now?
Hell yeah! Like as soon as that poison was culled out of you, it's like that barrier, finally those cracks, and it shatters. And you feel Scott and Nectus roiling through your body, swirling and swirling, empowering you. And I think you replenish a use of gamble by coming back from the brink of death in this moment.
V like does the whole like blink for a moment and then like opens the eyes, and again like glowing, one green eye, one purple eye. Like you can see she's getting supercharged here.
Hey, easy, Visanti. Tiran, thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
We don't have time for this right now. We still have to deal with. And Tiran looks up at Tiran's like hulking form taking over the majority of this room.
Yeah, okay. And she cracks her head, like cracks her neck once, twice in either direction, right? Like rolls her shoulders backward and sort of like spins Grim in her grip and then poof, like holds it in like a combat ready stance as she like gently gets up from Sun, careful not to disturb V. All right, let's kill this old bitch.
For the rest of my turn, what magic items are nearby? This is a treasure vault full of magic items. I just want to know what's nearby.
You see various things. That fan behind Tiran, they're mostly they're near Tiran, most of the deities, let's say. There's a sword, a fan, a spear, an axe, a stone tablet, and a bow. They all look ancient as hell.
Okay. I assume these deities are kind of like in like a circle like around Tiran, or like...
Yeah, let's say they're arranged in a semicircle behind him.
Which of the items are like nearest to Tiran?
I would say the sword and the bow.
Tiran's plan, I think, is to try and sever as many of the connections that Tiran has to these magical items as possible to try and weaken him. Essentially.
Ooh.
So the first thing that he's going to do is he's going to book it for the bow. Tiran, I think, like skids to a halt in front of this dais, looks up at Tiran, tries not to be absolutely intimidated by the fact that he is staring at an ancient white dragon from beneath. Putting his own bow like on his back, they're going to go and try and like grab this bow.
I think as your hands and your arms start to cut through that invisible barrier of force, like pain surges through your body as you're trying to reach it. Make me an Arcana check.
I got a 9.
Okay, I can give it to you at cost.
Okay, I will take the cost.
Where are you at health-wise?
38.
Okay, that's not so bad. So Tiran, as you like force your arms through trying to reach that glowing bow, you see it in fuller relief now. It's a beautifully carved composite bow, made of like sinew and like wood and bone, and there are these like beautiful ancient engravings all the way down like the heft of the handle and like this nice leather work. It looks like it was made for royalty, really. And Abiku, from your vantage point behind the scattered hill of gold coins, you see what Tiran's doing, and you recognize that bow. It was King Wen's bow of the Hill Kingdom. As your like arms go through and you try to grab onto it, you see, I think, flashing through this invisible barrier of force, a man's face. Just flash, echoes of the former owner of this bow. You see a proud Triton man with these like gills flaring on either side of his neck. He's like in the middle of like laughing as he's like holding up like a newborn, like his newborn baby, and like laughing and playing with him, right? And then you also see him in like the grip of like fury, holding this bow, stringing it against an enemy. And then you see him like weeping as he's like cradling the body of his beloved. And then you see him in his like final stand. I think his like short hair raked up and back, like a kind of salt and pepper color to it now. He's gotten older. The final stand in this vault as he holds this bow taut, and then something gets him and he falls. And like you see this man's life play out in all these stages, just like whisking by. And for some reason, I think your connection to the Thousand-Year War, insofar as your connection to Abiku, your connection to the language, it seems to like latch onto that part of you, and you get the sense that the previous owner of this bow wants you to take it and wants revenge done for him, justice done for what's occurred to him. You feel this righteous fury start to surge through your body as you're reaching for this bow, but the price of breaking through Tiran's barrier is going to be 20 points of force damage.
Please, let me help you take this away from the person who stole it from you. And I think maybe that is when he's able to like push through and like his fingers wrap around the bow and they like pull it back out of this barrier off of the dais.
I love it. And you break Tiran's attunement to King Wen's bow, is what that means, as you grab it off the dais. And Tiran actually, he feels it. And sort of like shakes his head, kind of like a guitar string snapping and like slashing up against your arm, kind of, is sort of how it feels like for attunement to be forcibly severed from you. He flinches with his whole body, and you see his big tail smash against another pillar and crumble it into dust.
You little flies. Those weapons do not belong to you. The spoils go to the victor, Tiran, and you are not the victor.
Not yet, anyway.
Is that the end of your turn? Beautiful!
I could do
V, if you're
something.
feeling pretty angry, you can have this one.
I could go now. V is gonna like flick her hand, and Gamel's gonna flash into her hand. She's gonna spread it all out and pick a card, and she's gonna look at it for a second, and just let the card drop to the ground. And it's the Hermit card, and she's going to use it to cast Tiny Hut around her and Rev. So a 10-foot radius pops up around them. No spells can go through it, but our spells can go through it outwards, and we are protected from anything outside of this tiny hut.
Ooh, I think we start to see a sphere of like purple and green energy start to balloon upward from between you and Rev and Sun, who's also there, right? And Tiran lets out a roaring laugh.
Haven't I taught you this lesson already, girl?
As he reaches a claw and cocks it to counterspell. But Rev flings out her scythe and says, "You're not the only one who can do that, old man," and counterspells his counterspell.
That's hot.
So
That's
I think we feel your magic start to waver and destabilize as you cast Tiny Hut, but then Rev flings it outward, and it's like another band flicking against Tiran's skin, and he lets out a
insolent little.
And you all feel like the ground start to shake again. But Tiny Hut comes up.
Excellent. So now I feel much safer. I'm going to expend some sorcery points so I can do a bonus action. I'm going to cast Mage Hand. And I'm going to send Mage Hand over to the poison that like flicked onto the wall and like smear it into its palm and send it to go just slam it into Tiran.
When the sorcerer is at 13 hit points, but is still being useful. I love this Tiny Hut and Mage Hand. I'm into it. Yeah, a ghostly hand comes out, scoops up some of that bristling, brimming, bubbling, boiling white, a milky white poison, and floats over to one of Tiran's massive claws and just smears it all over the talons. I don't even think that requires a check, because it just works. Tiran lets out a,
What are you doing? What is this, you?
I think he flings his claw outward and throws the Mage Hand back, but the damage has already been done. It's so small at first. Your Mage Hand is so tiny compared to his massive talon. But you know, even giants fall, right? So we see this like milky white vein start to web up that one claw up toward his wrist, and it starts to like gain traction and momentum as it starts to spiral up that claw, and he lets out a
No. Stop that, you. You don't know what you're playing with, girl.
As we see more of that milky white liquid, I think also continue to bloom up from his mouth from where Gentle punched him, and also bloom outward from underneath his mane from where Gentle punched his neck on their way up to Tiran's snout.
Rev can feel some weave energy rolling around V as she prepares her next sequence of events, but yeah, that is the end of my turn.
Love it. Okay, yeah. I think Rev is going to sort of stand protectively in front of you as her turn, and she's gonna hold her scythe and I think just sort of slash it once, twice, 3 times through the air and send ghostly after images of like that scythe slashing and sweeping through the space. Abiku, you saw Rev do this against the hunter back in Kirtal, and you see these as they slam against Tiran's mane. He actually flinches and staggers backward. It seems like he's starting to take damage now that the poison has weakened him to the extent that he's no longer immune. And he
Bothersome little pests. Well, no matter, it's been some time since I've fought foes that could actually hurt me. This is an interesting way for me to ascend to godhood. Thank you for entertaining me.
But he does let out growls and like annoyed little grunts as Rev slashes at his body. Abiku Gentle, who's next?
Do you want? I can take it. I'm just going to continue doing what I've been doing, which is just punching the entire length of Tiran. It's like a little mosquito, honestly, at this point. It'd be fun. I am also going to use one of my punches instead to use a hand of healing on myself to make sure I kind of stay alive. Gentle will be a little self-preservating as a treat. 22, 22, and 17.
All 3 can hit if he gets to try to smack you.
I just said I was going to be self-preservating. You can't do this to me. I have a fun question real quick then.
Yeah, what's your fun question?
If I use focused aim and make those 22s each do 26, will that hit?
Yes, those will hit.
I'll hit with 2 then. That's enough.
Great.
Also, just so you know, GM, I'm healing 10 damage. Might be enough to save me from dying at least once. That's 25.
Your fists are still infused with poison. So where are you smacking him?
I have already went center of the eye, and I think I'm just continuing like down the length of his body. Top of the head, flips, throws like 1 punch, uses that momentum to springboard themselves further down more of their body. As they land, do another punch, and they just are planning to continue to slide down the rest of Tiran.
You like somersault between his antlers and like you land on like the tuft of his fur that's on his head, and you're just punching him all the way down as you skid and you slide, almost like you're going down a slide, right? But it's like scales and these like thick tufts of fur that are like so bristly and rough that they could cut you, but you're like dodging between these tufts of hair and you're bam, 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 punching him all the way down, and he flinches with every punch. He lets out a and you can feel his body starting to contort and thrash and like bristle and team underneath you as he's like gonna try to buck you off probably, but you're a monk, so who knows if you will. With every punch, every indentation down his scales, we see more of those like white milky poison webs start to like spider web outward, like down his body, right? Next up is gonna be Abiku.
I get to the fan at the top of my turn, and I'm going to reach in to take it.
Make me an Arcana check with advantage because you are from this time period and you know this, the previous owner personally.
Natural 20 for 21. I don't even need the advantage.
Do you want to roll again just to see if you get 2 nat 20s? Just for fun.
I would leave. I wish I'd rolled 2 separate dice so I could take a picture.
Let's go!
I feel like we deserve some
reward.
Okay, you know what? You know what?
I had a whole
was kind of
speech,
joking.
so I don't know what I.
Abiku, why don't you say your speech and I'll give you something else that's really dope after? How about that? With the 2 nat 20s, say your speech, do the thing.
So I'm gonna reach in and grab it, and I look up at Tiran, and Tiran, this is not yours. These things are not yours. This house is not yours. And you are not the last Titan. I'm gonna try and get big, but you go ahead and resolve what you were gonna do.
Wow! Okay, as you reach your hand through that barrier, you don't even take damage like Tiran did. It just explodes. And every single barrier of every magic item that Tiran had attuned himself to all 6 of them, they explode. He lets out like a painful roar and howl as all these threads of the weave snap and like ricochet and lash against his body invisibly with arcane suffering.
You, Abiku Ishtar, I am going to relish in your death, I have to admit.
But Abiku, you reach through, you grab that fan, and just like Tiran at the end of your speech, you see these like swirling faces, not just of Queen Undu, but you see all the way down the semicircle, like ghostly forms of each of the gigantic mages, each of the rulers, the leaders of your home, way back before you died the first time. You see Queen Undu, King Garva, ruler Fiki, Queen Zalu, ruler Pastu, and of course King Wen as well, floating ghostly behind Tiran. And you feel all of them look at you, in one fluid motion, all of them turn and just look at you. And you just feel like suffused with power and confidence and their rage and 10,000 years of betrayal and justice gone unpunished. And suffused with that power, Abiku, you get big. So, tell me what it looks like.
I think she takes this fan and she sees all the rulers and she is like gently crying and she says, I will not fail you again. And you all just see her form and her all her stuff like grow until she's eye level with Tiran. I don't know if I have any action or attack left.
You can attack him. You can get an attack in. That's cool.
I look at him and I say, let's see how you like it. And I use my connection with Sun to let out a breath of lightning in his face.
Okay, he has to make a save or something,
yeah,
right?
Dexterity save. It's only DC 18, so probably
18.
will make it.
That's pretty good. I'm gonna give him disadvantage though, because he just took a lot of L's. Right before, bam, 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 bam. Yeah, okay, so he does not make it. He does not make it.
10d6 to the face.
He got a 5 and a 10. He has a plus 12, so he got a 17. So he fails. Yeah, so roll that damage.
44 lightning damage.
As spears of purple lightning shoot out of your mouth, lets out this guttural, almost monstrous roar as he rears back and staggers backward away from you as you breathe into his face and your body's ballooned up to also fill this vault, fill this space. And as he, and you see his body quivering, his muscles spasming from the force of that static electricity, coming out of your mouth. And he looks up, and for the first time, you see shock reflected in his icy blue eyes.
Where did you learn to do that?
Why would I tell you that?
And he lets out this huge roar, right? But static purple lightning continues to spark down his body. And the milky white cobwebs continue to rime up his face. Abiku, that was baller as hell. Is that your turn?
That's it for me. So take it away.
Oh my god, okay. I think all of you have gone, so it's Tiran's turn next. He's gonna attack you, Abiku. He's pretty pissed off, but you are literally his size now. Tiran is going to lunge forward at you. It's literally a clash of titans, a literal clash of titans. There's a sonic boom. Yeah, as your bodies collide into each other inside this vault, and his claws, one claw digs into your shoulder, another claw digs into the side of your body, and he opens his mouth and bites down, I think, on your other shoulder, and it's like a dog biting, biting down on a toy, right? And I think his other claws also come up and try to scratch at you, but you're able to brace. You feel he's trying to push you backward. So before I resolve damage, make a strength save with advantage because you're so huge.
25.
That is sufficient. You hold your ground. And I think there's a moment where we see massive Abiku pulling one foot back and then bracing against the marble floor as Tiran is biting and slashing and chomping at her. And in total, Abiku, you would take 74 points of damage.
No
from
one else
all
get
of his
bit by
bites.
Tyran. No one else get bit by Tyran. I got it.
In total, from all his attacks, you would take 74 points of damage. But I think in your new form, your HP max is tripled.
Okay.
Let's go.
Sure. I'm not gonna say no.
So I think that means you're still standing, right?
Cool.
You're
Heard.
definitely still standing, but like we see like some of your blood gush out, but we see Abiku take it. We see Abiku take this barrage of attacks from an ancient draconic mage who's just rending and swiping and slashing at her.
I'm gonna need Tyran to make a strength saving throw as I use my reflective reprisal as he does damage, and like I shoot out like just like instinctually like a gust of air like comes off my chest into his chest.
I'm having him roll with disadvantage because he is not.
Ooh, you hate to see it.
That was a natural 2, so he does fail.
It's not a lot of damage. It's only 2d8, so that is 11 force damage, but he is pushed 10 feet off of me.
I like that. Yeah. Like at the end of his barrage of attacks, we just see this massive like wind wave sweep out from Abiku and he staggers backward. Ugh! We see his like mane fly, ripple past his face. That kind of magic, Abiku Ishtar. That's draconic magic. Raw, natural magic harnessed from the weave directly. I would know it. I pioneered much of it. Just how much did Shinyi teach you, that traitor?
Bold to speak of traitors from someone who killed their own sister and started a war.
You know nothing of the cost of power, the cost of godhood, the cost of ascension. I am strong for killing my sister. I am strong for killing over 22,000 of our own kind. I am strong for killing my daughter. It is what makes me powerful. I am not connected to weaklings like you are.
I think Abiku just thinks for a bit and looks over. V, do you have something to say about your supposed death?
I think I'm still here, Abiku. I think I'm still here.
So are you stupid or weak? I asked Tiran.
I should have killed you myself the first time. I will relish in killing you this time.
And I think he lets out a roar as you've like inflamed his anger, right? As you like stretch out your muscles. So that is Tiran's turn. At the end of Tiran's turn, inflamed and incensed as he is, he like rears up, and you all get the sense that he's like going Super Saiyan. Like he's in his final form. He's gonna do the thing. And we also just see like his fur begin to glow blue, like a bright blue, right? And his like eyes also flare up, and gentle, you see pillars of light start to shoot up all around you because you're like on top of this thing, this titan glowing blue. And he lets out a,
You have no idea the kind of doom you are inviting upon Andake by standing against me. You think you can defeat the stranger as you are. You cannot. You will fail, and I will show you your failure.
and I think that blue light explodes off his body, and all of you are no longer in the vault. And on that, we are gonna cut to a break. Thank you so much, every pony, for tuning in. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Enjoy the fan art reel, enjoy the music. I'm hyped from this boss fight. See you in 10. Pijo. Hello, 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 Transplanar friends and family. GM Connie here with a very exciting word from one of our incredible sponsors for Arc 6 of the Second Stranger. Roll is an alternative to complex virtual tabletops, instead serving as a people-first online play and creation platform for TTRPGs and all sorts of social narrative play. With a focus on high-quality video, intuitive code-free creation tools, and simple, seamless gameplay for everyone, Roll is the easiest place for you to run your games online. Also, with Roll's drag and drop sheet builder system, you can create content for any game you want to play, even your own homebrew hacks. Tell the stories you want to tell. Roll empowers you to do so. Also, Roll is 100% free for anyone to use all the time. So sign up today and run your next game at playroll.com. Roll, you can play with us. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from break. Hope you enjoy the fan art reel and your 10 minutes of freedom. We're back now with the final episode of Transplanar Arc 6, Episode 16, My Alien Father. Before we hop back in, content warnings for this episode and the session, the campaign in general may include fantasy violence, gore, body horror, blood, apocalypse, trauma and grief, familial conflict, manipulation, heights, depictions of war, complex and complicated relationships, flirting and romance, and references to sexual entanglement. So please use !CW in chat at any time for a full list of these content warnings and !safety for a look at the cast's lines and veils to know what stuff we'll never talk about no matter how dark things get. So, with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the session. The air within the vault of Banur shimmers, bends, tightens like a fist, and then explodes crimson. Red, red, red blooms from Tiran's body like the focal point of a flower, petals of scarlet unfolding from his blue energy in huge swatches across the chamber. Piles of gold, pillars of marble, ceilings of painted mural peel away until you're no longer in the vault of Banur, but on a vast battlefield. The sky is blood. Eyes populate the horizon, scarlet irises, void black pupils of ever-changing shape, looking, shattered ground, bodies everywhere, corpses, machines of war, broken weapons, entire squadrons laid to waste. Shivering over the earth, monsters. The color of ink, of empty space between stars, snarling, crunching, hulking limbs made of black blades carving thick gashes through the dirt, and standing atop a summit in the distance, atop a peak overlooking this desolate battleground, mere pinpricks against this crimson darkness. The 8 paragons. They're bleeding, wounded, leaning on each other, little figures on the horizon, all looking east, looking at it. And then you all see it. The stranger, taller than the world, a column of rippling, bristling feathers that splay open into wings across the horizon between the eyes, covering everything, blotting out the sun and the stars, and with every passing second, the wings grow wider, the eyes expand, the red deepens, and the apocalypse inches closer. This V and Rev you have seen dozens and dozens of times before in your dreams. This is the end. There is no escape. Your heroes have failed you, and oblivion awaits. What do the 4 of you do?
So to clarify, the 8 we see, is it the 8 we know?
No, it is not a BQ. As you cast your gaze northward toward that peak, you glimpse just silhouettes that are unfamiliar to you. You don't see amongst them Voska or Oka or V or Dewey. They look as strangers to you.
Gentle and Tiran, back when we were traveling with the hounds, saw, we assume, one of the old paragon of Sen. Do we recognize that figure at least?
They are very, very, very far away. So if you all want to, you can make a perception check.
21.
14.
Okay, so I got another 20. So it's 34.
What?
I don't want to that. I'm sorry.
Well, I got a nat 1, so I think V's just busy doing her thing.
Yeah, maybe V is preoccupied. So, Abiku, in this memory, you're still huge, and Tiran is still massive next to you. Maybe that's how we can flavor the nat 20, you're able to look and just see. You see 8 people. none of whom you recognize at all. One of them is this like gold-skinned tiefling. Another one of them is this kind of like swirling, like shadow being thing that's just sort of like in and out of existence. Another one is a bearded dwarf woman. Another one you see like a really heavily tattooed centaur holding a golden bow. Another one you see like a half-elf woman with this like dark skin and long black hair and an eye that opens sideways on her throat. You also see like a muscular drow man with top surgery scars who's like topless and has like robe tied around his waist. You also see a Goliath woman with 4 arms and like a crown of like 3 points digging into her face, causing her to bleed all the time down her front. And finally, you see a Kenku, the smallest of the group. Plain-looking Kenku, I think, with like white-tipped feathers and this kind of like hooded cloak, holding Grim, this like huge scythe that like seems to oversize them.
Do you recognize the centaur? Right? Because that's the person from Arc 5?
Yes, you recognize Karvach Turai, the centaur, the former paragon of Galtanger.
So Tiran's just like here? He's like next to us?
Yes, he is. He's sort of standing reared up. He sort of lets out a This is what happened to your former so-called heroes. They failed you. The stranger wasn't defeated, as you all know, and yet you're still arrogant enough to assume you can best her. You call me arrogant? Look at yourselves. You are half the people the former paragons were, and they, yet, were not enough. What makes you think you can defeat that? And he turns to look at this memory of the stranger, this massive being just towering on the horizon, bigger than Andake.
They didn't have us last time. The paragons, they may not be whole the way that they used to be, but they have allies. More of us than. And Duran kind of looks around the battlefield.
Allies! Do you not see their allies dead? Here, armies they raised, dozens and hundreds sent to fight for them thousands. Armies I'd not seen since the likes of the 1,000-Year War, since the Gambit of Queens. You think your help, you think your friendship, your love will be enough to save you? Look upon your own ancestors' failures. And he gestures with a claw at this battlefield strewn with hundreds of corpses, bodies of people who have fought and died.
You think it'd be better for us to let you kill us and assume you can do it because one person's better than 16 people?
Wrong. 22,000 souls and counting brim within me. Feed me power. When I ascend to godhood, I shall strike her down myself.
But you still have weaknesses.
A weakness of my own creation. So do all of you. You say you don't have weaknesses. Lies.
I don't think any of us here would pretend that we are perfect or anything close to that. We're just willing to work together. You could have had 22,000 allies, and instead you're going to try to do this alone, and you will fail.
No. If you try to slay me here, if you try to stop me here, I guarantee you will fail. I am presenting you with irrefutable proof.
And he splays his claws open, bridled by the horizon behind him,
that the stranger is more powerful than the 8 put together, than the paragons, than any of you. What? You keepers, you chosen friends of your heroes, your so-called champions. The only thing that can defeat her is a force more powerful than she can ever imagine. A force that Andake, nay, that the multiverse has not seen since. And I shall ascend to that force when I strike my daughter down. I'm doing this for Andake. I'm doing this to preserve life. You meddlesome fools, I truly believe you think what you're doing is the right thing, but it is not. All of you stand down and let me kill her, or I kill you all.
Tiran, and V like starts to stand up, and you can see that she is like fusing, just pulsating with weave energy that she's been working up. You say that you're more powerful than any of us, that you have slayed 22,000 plus. You say that you're the only one who can defeat the stranger, but I have drank your worst poison, and I'm standing here because I have love, friendship, and something that you will never have, a true heart. And I have a message from your sister. Vasanti says hello, and V would like to cast some spells.
Go for it.
At first, V is going to hold up a palm, and this little beam of light is going to shoot across the battlefield towards Tiran, and like forms just this little glowing green ball of energy as she casts Delayed Fire Blast, and it just sits there. I'm going to then use 2 sorcery points to cast as a bonus action, calling up from the ground. Flames and hot embers begin to sort of magically form in front of her as this purple cloud of flaming hot smoke starts to come up from the ground, and V shoots it as she casts Incendiary Cloud. It is at that moment, once the cloud has consumed Tiran, that V drops the Delayed Fireball Blast, so that explodes simultaneously, so that Tiran is just engulfed in so much fire. You can't even like see most of Tiran at this point.
Very lucky that he has disadvantage. I have been rolling very poorly. Roll damage.
So in total, then, that is 22 d6s. That is 84 points of fire damage.
22?
That's 10d6 for the Incendiary Cloud and 12d6 for the Delayed Fireball Blast.
Holy shit, that's so much damage!
The Incendiary Cloud actually stays and can move and follow the target.
As this purple and like red and green cloud balloons upward and the fireball bam goes off, Tiran lets out a roar, and I think you all see this like vision, this hallucination, this illusion like shimmer once, twice, it like flickers in, out, and then poof, it like evaporates, and you're all back in the vault, right? And like as these like exploding tongues of fire lick off his body, he sort of rears up, and we see his antlers crest up and away from the cloud for like a split second as he's letting out, and like you all feel like the ground shaking and tremoring as his huge tail whips around. I think like bam, bam, like pillars go exploding outward, like scattering against the floor. Other pillars also explode outward and scatter against the floor. And I need all of you to make a dex save.
13.
29.
I got a 25, and Sun got a 25.
Okay.
I only got 8.
Okay. So Jiran and V fail, but Gentle and Abiku save. And Gentle, because you have evasion, you pick 0. But those of you who saved have to pick 1, and those of you who failed have to pick 2. You're either going to take a significant amount of damage, end up somewhere bad, or answer a hard question. Like a pretty tough question.
I'll take tough question, because last time you doled those out, I didn't have to take any, so it only feels fair.
Okay.
Because Erica got like 6.
Jiran, because you have evasion, you get to pick 1 instead of 2 on a failure.
I love your tough questions. I want a tough question.
Okay.
In self-preservation of how many hit points I have, I will go with the teleport someplace and the tough question.
Okay. Gentle's fine. No one takes damage, which is nice. As the air around Tiran explodes with fire and he starts thrashing, all of you either like spring out of the way and like jump and reposition yourselves, or you get hit by debris or hit by one of like Tiran's like massive claws flying around, or his tail, and you're all flung somewhere, right? V, the place that you are flung is out of the tiny hut. Rev throws out her arm and goes, V, but like doesn't manage to catch you. And I think you're flung actually forward by all this thrashing, and you will land in front of Tiran. like right in front of him as the somewhere bad. And the question all three of you have to answer is, what part of my body breaks beyond normal healing?
It's one of Abiku's ribs.
I think you also shrink back down. As you fly back through the air, your hold over this gigantic magic just breaks, and you slam against a pillar, and you feel something crack, like inside you, like a bottle smashing. What about you, Duran?
Duran's horns snap. And it's almost reminiscent of Nectus, I think, in the way that it looks, where he is left with one single intact horns. All of the rest of them snap, and the silvery, icy blue threads that are woven around the horns, like, start cascading down onto the floor.
Yeah, how do you lose your horns? Do you smash against a pillar?
Maybe, like, one of the horns were actually caught in Tiran's claws, and so he almost, like, grabbed it and, like, snapped it off himself.
Ooh, I really like that. And then he, like, without even realizing, like, flung you through the air after that. I think the rest of them break as you shatter against a pillar. Whoa. Ooh. I can feel our character artist going feral. V.
It's gonna be her spellcasting hand just, like, breaks.
Oh, you land on it horribly. And you feel a crunch and, oh my god, pain just sears up your arm as you roll feebly and you land in front of Tiran, who has also shrunk down. As this incendiary cloud keeps whipping around, like little sparks of fire just exploding, I think, within it, you and your dad are the only ones in this thick mist of just fire amidst this debris. And you see, like, the massive dragon form just vanishes, evaporates, and you just see Tiran in his human form, his humanoid form. He's just sort of slumped, I think, against a dais. His back leaned against it. You see those webs of the poison streaking across his face, and his hair has come down from its perfectly, like, coiffed and polished way. It's, like, hanging in front of his eyes now, his pure blue eyes, and he's sort of, like, breathing really heavily. He also looks kind of broken and fucked up, and he has, like, burn marks over his body and scorch marks and various, like, bruises from where Gentle punched him, right? And he's, like, bracing one side of his ribcage as well as he's leaned up against these stairs, and you're flung on your stomach in front of him. V. You really are my daughter, aren't you?
No. You may have been the person who made my birth happen, but you are not my father. You never will be.
And he coughs, and you see blood come up in his mouth and, like, dribble down his chin and, like, onto his perfectly sapphire tie. And he sort of looks down, almost in, like, detached surprise, like, huh, I can bleed, huh? And he, like, looks back at you as he's still, like, cupping his ribcage. You can tell yourself all the lies you want, V. But like father, like daughter, I will always be a part of you, V. As far as you try to run from me, I always be there.
V gives is like in searing pain, but like kind of grimaces and a bit of a laugh, and I'm done running, Tiran. That's why I'm here at your doorstep. That's why I'm here. You think I came here to find you to make up for something? I've always been here to kill you. That was the long con.
I know. Do you kill him?
Yeah. She's gonna lift her broken hand, and with the absolute searing agony of trying to cast a spell with a broken hand through it, she's just gonna cast Firebolt, a simple cantrip, right into his face.
Could it, like, go through his heart? Could it be like a fire knife that pierces his heart?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, we see a javelin of fire shoot out and lance through his heart. And V, as soon as like that spell ends, you feel searing pain surge through your hand. But before I resolve that, V. Enjoy your destined downfall. I'll see you in oblivion. And your father hunches over and dies. And V, that's when the pain from your hand hits you. I think it's so strong you have to like double over a little bit. Like this like searing fiery pain just scorches up through your arm. I don't think you can cast magic out of that hand anymore. I think it's done.
V is going to fall to her knees in agonizing pain, grabbing her arm. And as she's starting to lose consciousness, she's going to look to Rev, who is, I'm imagining, running towards her. And she just quickly mutters, "Don't save his soul. He doesn't deserve it." And she's going to start to lose consciousness and pass out onto the ground. And in that moment, V. Noxurzo passes away. All the cons, all the thefts, all the lying. So that only remains Vasanti Paya Noxurzo.
And the last thing you see, Vasanti, before you close your eyes, is Rev running toward you, cutting through the murk. And then darkness closes in. And Vasanti, when you open your eyes again, you're lying in a bed on a soft surface. Some sort of light gently is filtering through this space. You smell maybe like a candle, some incense burning. You flicker your eyes open. You sort of see like a ceiling, blurry drift in and out of consciousness, and then you see Rev's face immediately. She's right next to you. And we sort of pull out and we see that we're in like a shared kind of large bedchamber area, almost like a med ward, where V is lying on like one of these beds, and Rev is like right next to her. And we also see nearby a Biku Jiran, Gentle, Bud, Sun, and Costas as well. Hey. Vasanti, you're okay. It's over.
Without even trying, accidentally put some pressure on her hand and just like, nope, that is not happening.
Whoa.
And
Yeah. And I think you see, as you like just subconsciously use your hand, you see that it's been bandaged and set. Like there's a cast over it.
He's dead, right?
Yeah, he's dead.
And everyone's okay?
Yeah, we're good. Just worried about you. And Duran, I think, comes forward a little bit so that they are in Vasanti's vision. And they kind of look down, their brow furrowed, and you can see like the broken horns on their head. You've been out for a while.
This is very overwhelming. With her good hand, she reaches out for Duran in like a handshake gesture.
Duran will take your hand, softly.
You saved my life. Thank you. After all the things I said to you, thank you.
We all saved your life. A Biku, Gentle, Rev. We couldn't have done it without all of us here.
That is how we're gonna beat the stranger. I think V looks over to Gentle. You managed to find more poison?
Yeah, Bud and I sort of had a lead on that. Apparently the person who made it knows you from a little bit back, actually. Yeah.
He tried to stab you. He was invisible. He had a dagger. He either tried to stab you or Manaya, I think.
Oh, that lizard?
Yeah, he has a family.
You mean he's a nice person?
No, but
okay.
I think Bud and I scared him to trying to help people a little bit more.
Yeah, not as bad as Tiran. So we let him live.
That's okay. I appreciate that. You did good.
Thank you. Visanti, I appreciate that. I feel like that's the first time we've had a moment there where we shared a connection.
Well, hopefully it's just the first of many, so I kind of had a lot on my mind.
Well, if you, I understand, but if you feel like I really did good,
Oh.
Bud, I give Bud a treat.
Oh, thank you.
And Bud eats it.
I'm glad you're doing a little bit better. I've been making tea and some food if you need anything. Costa's helped with the soup.
I could really use some of that tea of yours.
Right on it. And Gentle will run and go get tea for literally everybody.
Biku.
Yes, and she has like bandages around her abdomen.
You got real big back there.
I didn't know what would happen, but I'm glad I did not turn into a monster and try and kill you.
That's very appreciated. I couldn't probably deal with fighting someone else in that moment.
I'm glad that you are okay. I don't know what we do with this place. I think we lock it for now. We'll have to talk about ownership rights.
There's a moment of, well, this place is mine now, right? Like I killed father, this is father's. Scraps that idea. We'll figure out the good use for it. Maybe the Morosians, maybe Elder Paku can think of something good.
That would be good. I could make it like a museum. There's a lot of odd things in here, so...
You know, actually, maybe we take some of the things that used to belong to other people and we return them to where they belong.
That could be good. I remember Oh, and then Abiku sits down next to Visanti. I remember everything now. I thought you would like to hear about my wife.
You remember your wife?
Yes.
Is that the lavender dragon?
Yes, her name was Shunyi.
Oh, Shunyi, that's beautiful.
She's not here now anymore, obviously. I thought for a little bit maybe she was here too, but I could tell you about her if you like while you rest.
I would love that, Abiku.
And Abiku starts telling the story.
So hearing Abiku talk about her love reminds Visanti of her love to Rev, and like will take her good hand and like reach it over to Rev to like hold hands.
I think we hold on this image as like Abiku's telling Visanti rather, and everyone else in this room, like the story of Shrinyi and Ishtar. As like Bud starts to lay down, starts to go to sleep, and Rev just holds V's hand. Costas, leans against a wall moodily, but like we see like a tear come out like of like one side of their faces. They're like hiding it from like the emotionality of this love story. And we pull out from this and we sort of like fade on it. And when we push back in, I think it's on Rev with Abiku, Duran, and Gentle outside this room. In the hallway, while like V's maybe like napping, or like everyone thinks V's napping and like resting up, and Rev is sort of talking in low tones to Abiku, Gentle, and Duran. We cut out into the hallway here, this like vast space with these like beautiful paintings, these vaulted ceilings, and Rev sort of leans in and has her like muscular arms crossed over her body. Listen, Visanti's resting right now, so I don't want her to overhear this, but don't tell her that I reaped Tiran's soul, okay? I just don't.
She might find out eventually anyway.
I know, but I want it to come from me, and I don't want to tell her right now. It's too soon.
It was your decision, so whatever you want, but I'm sure she'll understand. There's no way, if you hadn't done it, the Reverend Queen would have made me do it, so.
I know. She is very intent on all souls here in Indake going to the after.
It does make me nervous. He was very strong. I am not sure death will be enough to hold him off. You will need to be careful with that thing. And I point at Grim.
Yeah, I know. Grim's fine. I can feel all the souls inside Grim. It's okay. I've got Tiran contained. It'll be an optimistic problem to have to deal with, right? If we survive this ordeal, be back the stranger, I feel like Tiran's small fry compared to that.
Yeah. Plus we have his weakness.
That's true. I mean, who knows if he ascended to draconic godhood or whatever. Or maybe he would have no normal weaknesses, but he hasn't, so we can just threaten him with that poison if he tries to crawl out of the after. Which hasn't ever really happened successfully in the history of necromancy in Indake, so I'm not too worried.
BQ shifts nervously.
Let's hope that he's not the first.
Like I said, we can deal with that after the war, so. Visanti, if you would have liked to hear that conversation, I can have you roll perception.
I will roll perception.
I will have Rev contest it with her stealth.
Oh my gosh, I'm rolling like crap today.
I think Connie rolled real low based on the look on his face, no?
I only rolled an 8, so.
I can't see it.
Just wait, it'll be great. Just wait. That's a 20.
Yep.
Okay, can someone clip that?
Oh my god, please That has to be a gift. That has to be a gift.
Please,
Jorge, if you're video. Watching, I need the sound with it.
RPG guests, if you're watching, please give that. I will personally pay you.
That was beautiful. So I think you know they're talking, and I think you even know that they're talking about you, but you don't get like actual words. You just hear Rev's voice kind of low and insistent. And when she comes back in, she's all smiles and like not referencing the fact that she was consorting with a Biku Jiran or Gentle right outside. So we cut to the gates of the tapestry room, right, which have been unlocked thanks to Jiran and Gentle. And as I think Rev pushes them open, you all see those rings swirling as usual around that tapestry, and the tapestry weaving and unweaving itself. And I think there's a moment as all of you linger on the threshold, and then V, next to Rev, and Rev as well, the two of you feel a soul-deep tugging that kind of just sort of like yanks your head sideways towards the southeast. And on that movement, on that turn, we see cutting in Old Mama Lightning's face as she's backlit by a waterfall in the middle of talking to someone, and then we see her go, oh, as she turns as well in the same movement. And we also see Manaya's face as she's like smiling and talking, I think, to a girl on one of the islands of Uhanahi, like leaned up against the beach, and then her face suddenly becomes very serious and she turns as well in the same direction. I think for her it would be northeast. And then we cut over to Emperor Zhen of Xiong's face, their beautiful, immaculate, handsome, statuesque features covered by these strings of pearls as they're sort of sat next to Arden Hien, strolling and rolling through a garden covered with like snow and magnolia petals. And Xiongzhen suddenly pauses and turns and also looks eastward. And then we push back toward Rev and Visanti. There's like an instinctual shared gut feeling, right? Like how birds instinctually know how to fly, like fish instinctually know how to swim. You just know in that exact moment, Oka Hien has become Paragon of Sen, and the 8 are complete. And I think Rev just sort of gasps out, Oka, and looks up. And we all see the tapestry as it was unweaving and reweaving and unweaving suddenly pause in its unweaving and then start to reweave itself for the final time. It starts to knit itself back up. The story becoming whole once more. And we see like a story starting to take place, the end of the story of the First Stranger War, told from Jinka Da's perspective. A coagulation, I think, toward the end of blood, wings, and eyes that reflects that crimson battlefield Tiran threw all of you into in the vault. And then the stranger just at the very end, leaving, just gone. No grand victory, no ascension, no triumphant song, just an egress with no ceremony. And that final hole, the wheel, the sigil of Shuhai Miao, the paragon of Sen, that's the last thing to come back in. and we see an icon of a wheel spiral itself in toward that final wheel of 8 other icons and fill its place. And as soon as that place is filled, as soon as Shuhai Miao returns to that tapestry, all of you see the weftwork of this beautiful long piece of artwork glow. These like threads of like bright light just start to ving, 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 beam, beam, beam. And then shooting out of the tapestry, a thread of light that goes poof, upward and it shoots out of the ceiling. Almost like a projector beam, just like shooting upward, but it seems to phase through the ceiling. You figure it's pointing for you all south.
When Rev had said Oka, Jaron's eyes snapped over to the tapestry, and in the moment that it paused and then started to weave itself back, Jaron ran towards it, hopping from ring to ring, frantically, desperately, as fast as he can. They make it just as soon as that last thread stitched itself into place, and they stand there, shell-shocked, fall to their knees, and watch as the tapestry glows and tears start to come down Jaron's face as he realizes he's too late.
Gentle. Something about the light beaming out of the tapestry up through the ceiling. Something about that calls toward you. Something about it feels like thread. Like a voice trying to reach out to you. Like a story you once heard whispered to you when you were young. Something about that beam of light pushing its way out of the ceiling. Intuitively similar to that gut feeling Rev and Visanti got about Oka's ascension. You get the sense that you want to look at the sky.
I'll fly up and just and do it. Just like very slowly take off. I think we'll go through a ring.
Okay.
I think I will, on the way out, softly put a hand on Jaron's shoulder and like offer a sympathetic smile. I'll head through a ring.
As you fly through the air, you sweep up toward one of the rings after placing a hand on Jaron's shoulder, and you hear Bud go, Gentle, where are you going?
Sorry, Bud. I just need to check on something. I'll be right back, I promise.
Okay. And Gentle, you fall through one of the rings gracefully. You see like a balcony, right? Like flashing through the murk. And you land, I think you come out through like a wall, and you just step gently onto a balcony out of the tapestry room, where you see like a railing, a banister, cold air gusting through it, like ruffling, I think, your hair past your face. You see the lake sprawling out below you, in front of you. You see the tall teeth of the mountains around you. It's nighttime. The starless sky. Well, there's a star. Beaming out of the citadel, as though the citadel were a projector. You see a thread of light, like one of Nitbuza's stories, just beam out from that tapestry room. You understand it intuitively to be that same beam of light that came out of the tapestry, up toward the sky, beaming a star into existence above a point toward the south.
I think the sheer sensation of like seeing a star, I think moves Gentle to tears immediately. And I think before they go back, there's a quiet moment of Gentle here alone, just taking it all in before they tell anyone else.
And there's like that moment of quiet as you just stare at this star beamed into existence from the tapestry in the sky. A star. You haven't seen one of those since a year ago, since the world ended. And then you step back, I think, into the tapestry room. And Bud looks up at you and goes, Gentle, where'd you go?
Like, Gentle's still like wiping tears from her eyes a little bit. I went out to the balcony and there's a star.
What?
There's one star
What?
outside. Mm-hmm.
What? And Bud, without saying anything, just like runs toward that same ring and starts to like hop through it. Wait, hold on. What? Gentle, what do you mean? What do you mean a star?
Just follow me, please.
And Rev like nods very seriously and turns to you, Visanti. Visanti?
Yeah, let's go. Just you just help me, and like V like just like tries to get her hand in a place where like any shaking or jumping will like be as soft as possible on her hand.
Here. And Rev actually scoops you up in like a kind of bridal carry, like very Howl of Moving Castle fame, like scoops you up and like gently walks almost like over air, like toward that swirling ring and poof, like vanishes through it.
I think Abiku looks like, Costas, let's go, and like picks up Costas.
Hey,
like little sibling style.
You don't have to, I can walk on my own, Abiku, just because you can get super big now.
Do you want to jump yourself?
No, okay. I don't. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You go through with Costas.
For Tiran, it's like he's underwater. Everything is really slow and garbled and muffled, and they're not quite fully present, I think. So I don't think that when Gentle came in and said that there's a star outside that they fully even processed or heard that information. They kind of like turn to look slowly to look over at Gentle and the commotion and everybody jumping through the rings, and you can see that there's like a distance in his eyes.
I know Tiran well enough to I think recognize when you're like this, affectionate. And if it is okay, I think as everyone starts to go through, Gentle's still just sitting there, floating slightly, and just offers a hand. Do you need help, Tiran?
Tiran wordlessly takes your hand and accepts your help.
I'll help you through the ring.
And all of you step out onto that balcony, into that chill winter air, crisp as a fall apple, to see exactly what Gentle saw. A beam of light shooting out from the citadel, through the sky, through the clouds, through the empty black expanse until it pauses somewhere on the southern horizon to form a star. Rev actually steps forward and like just checks in to make sure that Visanti's okay first, and then turns back toward this empty expanse with that single pinprick. That's Dr. Eluso's place. That star, I know it to be true. It's shining over where Dr. Eluso is. And she sort of like traces her finger from like the beam of light shining over Dr. Eluso's cottage back to the citadel. It's a gift. It's a gift from a past paragon.
Like the gift is there, or the gift is this? Do we need to go?
I don't know if it's immediately urgent, but V, you feel it too, don't you? I feel it calling.
Visanti feels sort of the same tugging. It's not quite Scott and Nectus, but it's this feeling in her heart of like to the south, back to Dr. Eluso's home. Yes, I can feel it, and I think with her good hand, she like puts that over her heart, and like it's not as soon as possible, but it's where we go next after this.
What do you think it means?
It's a star. It might not be a star like we're used to. It might be coming out of the tapestry, but it's still, God damn it, it's still a star. That's a good thing.
The first star of the last stars you'll ever see.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Visanti looks up, and also much like with Gentle, I think some tears. Visanti remembers so vividly that night after that first fight, and just the inky blackness of the sky, and it just, everything of the past year up to this point is like hitting her so hard. Yeah, it's a good thing.
I think Tiran looks at the star for quite a while, but eventually their gaze shifts over to Rev and Visanti. They just take in their reactions. And I think it fills him with this sort of grief, knowing that these two will not survive the end of the war, knowing that this is one of the last times that they're ever going to see a star in their life. And just seeing how beautiful they think it is, how much emotion it wells up in them, I think it makes Tiran heavy.
And I think like there's like this like quiet, poignant moment as all of you are looking up the stars, and Rev is also crying, but she doesn't seem to realize it. And like Costas actually steps forward and like throws their hood back. And those of you who haven't seen Costas' face before, you see like half of their face is this like beautiful elf with like dark skin and these like braids of black hair that like go down, and the other half of their face is pure ice that doesn't move, that can't cry, that can't emote. It's just like an ice statue. And Costas is looking up at the stars as well and crying with the side of their face that can feel. And then Rev just sort of goes, ha, ha, look, and like points downward, and we see on the other side of Nabuza's teardrop, that villa that had like the cannon on display, like fireworks are sort of shooting up. Poof, 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 and like little blossoms of like light are like sparking through the air. And we see other little fireworks shoot up from various other Boshayan towns, like all across the ice, just as the people of Endake also start to notice that star. When we fade back in on this session, on this final leg of the journey that has been Arc 6, we find Gentle working with their hands. Gentle, what are you doing?
One of the things that I spent a lot of time doing in the Citadel was looking for old seeds and any sort of plant life that was extinct or very rare in Endake. And I'm trying to bring some of that back.
I really like that. Why don't you make me a general survival check with advantage, because you've spent a lot of time in the Citadel, to see the kinds of seeds you've managed to find and harvest for yourself.
That is a 22.
Whoa. You get some rare seeds in there. And I think with a 22, you're able to pick ones that you think have a good chance of taking.
Perfect.
Beautiful. I think we see you like a montage of Gentle in various greenhouses.
I think Bud is also helping by like digging some of the holes for me.
Oh, that's so cute. Are you like trying to plant the seeds at the Citadel?
I think it's a mix. I think giving some to like farmers who I'm certain can cultivate it like, carefully, but also just trying to ensure a few just can survive in the wild too. I'm like trying to reacclimate them back to the just environment of Endake. And I think for those ones, it is like Bud and I just having a gardening day in which we are going through planting. I am giving him like snacks and like sort of showing him the wonders of something like gardening.
That's so cute. I think we find you in like a greenhouse area, right? With like plenty of like space and lots of like fields and garden beds that are open. And like we see like Bud, like a montage of Bud digging with his front paws and then like trotting over with a bucket of water in his mouth, you know, and like gently putting the bucket next to you and stuff like that. And like using his paws to like put soil back into like a hole. And it's like a nice bonding moment between the two of you as you're able to harvest these seeds, right? And like any servants or workers or laborers or arborists who are moving about this space coming by, like maybe you talk to them and hand them some seeds. They look, you know, startled, but they accept it, right? And like this is like the montage that we see. Gentle just sort of like elbows up in dirt, like staining their clothes with the work of making new things grow. And I think we cut over now to Abiku. Abiku, I think we find you on that same balcony where the Raven Queen spoke to you and showed you your story.
I think Abiku is writing a letter to Shunyi, and she's just like letting her know how she's been doing and apologizing for forgetting her and letting her know it's not the way they wanted it, but the war is finally over.
I think you're like on the banister maybe with like a quill in your hand, a pen, a brush, and you're writing in this like beautiful, elegant kind of long like calligraphy that is Ba. And like while your hair I think is being blown by these gusts of like gentle winds up here, among the whispers you hear like dead leaves rustling against each other. The Raven Queen's voice.
Abiku Ishtar, my keeper. You've done well. I am so proud of you, my child. And I must tell you the final thing.
What is that?
You asked me before you confronted the Lord Commander of the Chromium Order, the Cannibal Titan. You asked me where Shrinyi is, and now I answer for you. Shrinyi is in the beyond, as you were. If I know her heart to remain to be true, which it is, which it always has been, and she is waiting for you to return to her one day.
Okay, so we beat the stranger, and then I assume whatever is keeping me here, you will stop. I mean, I know you are not into this sort of thing that you know I am.
It was fate who chose our paragons for us, and perhaps it was fate who brought you back, Abiku Ishtar, for it was not me. But I believe that now that you are here, all of us benefit from your aid.
That is good. I mean, I am in no rush. There is a lot to do here, but I am glad nothing else happened to her or any of the other souls from the war. Well, my war. There's been a lot of wars, but you know. I have a question for you, if that's okay, before you go.
Of course, my beloved.
So, you are the Raven Queen, yes, but I was wondering if you had a name? That feels like a title.
And you hear that rustling of leaves again. That takes you a minute to realize it's a chuckle.
Astute as always, Abiku Ishtar. The Raven Queen is the name I go by for mortals, paragons, keepers alike. Only one other knows my true name. My own beloved.
Oh, I understand if it is private. I just wanted to, as long as that is what you want me to call you. I just worried, people were like, it'd be like the Cloud Queen and no one ever asked her name,
You hear that rustling of chuckle again?
Perhaps you can just call me friend.
And that voice goes with a flutter of wings and a flutter of wings and a flutter of wings as you see two ravens, I think, soaring through, they come down from cloud cover and they flap through the wind toward you. But what's interesting about these two ravens is I think each of them has a little package or something. There's a little tied up satchel attached to both of their talons.
I see the Indake Postal Service has got new employees.
And these two ravens, they're flapping really hard and they land on the banister. And you recognize these ravens from Kirtal.
Glass Eye and Beak Boy. No, I don't remember the name.
Silver Eye cocks his head toward you with that silver eye, and Black Beak sort of raises, their very black beak. Black Beak lets out a, hey.
Oh,
lady.
I have something for you, yes. And I take out a bag of grain I've been carrying since Kirtal.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that for the long journey. But listen. We got a express delivery for you, lady.
Oh, okay. I didn't pay. I'm not paying for this one.
No fee. We it's actually really interesting how we found this package. Right, Silver Eye? Yeah, real interesting how we found this package. Listen, after we definitely delivered the message in Tabathati. Yeah, we definitely delivered that message.
That's what I'm paying you for.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Yeah, he gave us the shiny things and we crows are what we do. Anyway, we had our fun in Tabathati. We witnessed a lot of things go down, those mortals down below us. Well, they got their own issues, let me tell you that. You're traveling with one of the most effed up ones that we've seen. But anyway, we went to a temple to the Raven Queen. We felt compelled. Yeah, as Corvids, you see. As Corvids, we felt compelled. Yeah, as Corvids, we felt the Corvid compulsion. We went to a shrine to the Raven Queen in Dabathati, and lo and behold, there were two packages right here for us to deliver to you. So, here you go.
Oh, thank you. Do you want anything?
No, I mean, the grain's nice, but this place is nice. Shiver me feathers, am I right? Silver Eye? Yeah, shiver me feathers, but this place is nice. We could set up digs here.
I have, yes, actually, could you watch this place for me until I get done with the whole stranger war thing?
What, us? Are you saying we're in charge here?
Just like if anything happens, you can come let me know.
Guardians of the Iron Citadel. How do you like that, Blackbeak? I think that's a nice little epithet for us to have. Yeah, Silver Eye and Blackbeak, Guardians of the Iron Citadel. I'm into it. Hey, listen, do we get servants?
I crouch down. No, I can't not trust enough you will be the only people here. But if you take anything shiny that I have not let you, I will let the Raven Queen know.
Oh, well, we ain't got no beef with the Queen, right? We got no beef with the Queen, right, Silver Eye? Yeah, we got no beef.
You're welcome to stay warm, but if anything happens here, I need you to let me know immediately, okay?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yes, big lady, of course. 100% you have our word. Cross our feathers and hope to die.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Welcome home, I guess, and I open the door on the balcony.
Yeah, they leave the packages behind and they flutter past you, and as they flutter past you, you hear Blackbeak say,
"Hey, all those stuck-up crows at the Weave-Spun Nest can't say that these two rejects from the eternal chorus of the Raven Queen's throat never became nothing. Yeah, for the longest time, I thought maybe the highest aspiration I could have was to become one of the 100 ravens that the Raven Queen speaks through at the Weave-Spun Nest, but this is pretty nice."
And they sort of flutter by without exposition into the foyer, leaving the packages on the banister for you.
She'll open them up and see what was so important. And I think they are much, especially after all, she's been in much nicer clothes than she has. Her clothes are dirt, there's blood, rips, she got punched by a draconic mage. She's been through a lot. And they are these fine blacks and golds. Hers were blue and white inlay. It's black with gold inlay. She has a video game character montage where she gets dressed in them, and she folds up her robes very nicely and sets them on the bed. And she takes out Queen Undu's fan and sets it on the bed. And she just does a polite bow and thank you for everything. But I will handle this next part. And she leaves the room and Citadel whenever we're time to leave.
I love that. And I think on you walking back into the room and the balcony door closing behind you. Goosh. On that, we are going to cut over to a montage of Tiran finishing up his business, I think, in the Citadel. So what is the first order of business you're trying to wrap up here, Tiran?
The first thing that Tiran is going to do is make sure that we have that tapestry with us, that we take it to Dr. Eluso's to study and research. So I think they're in the tapestry room and they've managed to break through the magical barrier that had been protecting it. And they are just kind of rolling it up and tucking it away, making sure that it's contained safely.
I think you need to get a large case for it, a big cylinder to sort of put it in and cap it and sling it over your shoulders. And I think we cut to you in a nice, almost a fitting or a dressing room where one of the workers, several workers are trying to help on the fly making a case, a container for you. And one of them, she's a woman, a halfling woman just going around measuring you, just grabbing your face and grabbing your shoulders and just putting this measuring tape up over it. And she just sort of lets out kind of we haven't seen our Lord Commander around in quite a few days. As honored guests, have you seen him anywhere?
I don't think that I'm the right person to ask about that. Vasanti is,
yes.
His daughter, is probably the person that you want to speak to.
Yes, of course. And, hey. And she, snaps her fingers and, the case is done. It comes over. All right, let's load it in. And our Lord Commander said it was okay to take this, yes?
Yes, of course. And I think Tiran, as the final touch to this case, I think sort of imbued it with a modified long-term sanctuary spell to ensure that it would be kept protected in some way. I don't know how strong the actual spell is, but just to sort of have that extra level of security.
I like that, yeah. And it slides in a goof and the cap goes on. And on the cap going on, we find you in your next locale, I think. Because I think you're in search of quite a rare Morozi artifact indeed here. A piece of Everfrost, which is ice that never melts, that has been around, some say, legends say, since the formation of Andake itself. We find you, if it's okay with you, like in like a academic's office. Tiran has amassed a number of experts and academics and artists and people that are just around, kind of like how really rich people, like way back when, they would just entertain for like months on end and their friends would just crash at their place for like months and weeks and like not leave and just randomly walk through their halls, kind of like that. And there's like this one particular, I think, geologist that just lives here in the Iron Citadel. They are a turtle. They're very small, like a snapping turtle, with this long wrinkled neck and these like eyes that sort of like go left, go right, go left, go right, and their office is filled with all kinds of rocks. And they sort of like waddle forward with like this, it looks like a white rock, but upon closer examination, it looks translucent, and its edges are like all frayed, like it's ice that's been cracked off, like on like a plate, and they waddle forward.
This is, the Everfrost. Lord Tiran said I should give you, is that right?
Yes, that's correct. He needs it for a very important project. And Duran very gingerly takes it in their hands. I think strapped to their waist is like their notebook that they've been taking notes on everything. Because ever since he found out that there are like a whole bunch of different academics and experts in the Citadel, I think they've been like tailing them all and like asking, like picking their brain on different stuff. I think this is coming off the tail end of like one of those conversations where John has like bothered this turtle for all of like their thoughts and opinions on rocks.
Please just take this and leave me alone.
Sorry, it's just your work is very fascinating. And you said that this is ice that never melts, correct? The Everfrost?
Yes, that's what it means. Everfrost never melts, even when exposed to extremely high temperatures. It can break, though, so don't drop it.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anything to put it in to make sure that it doesn't break?
You'll figure it out. Put it in a pouch or something. I don't know. Be resourceful. I've already given you this extremely valuable Everfrost, and if Lord Tiran hadn't commanded me, well, here you go.
Thank you very much for your help. And they put this component that they have gotten for Dewey's, and they put it very carefully in like a compartment of their pouch that I think doesn't have like anything else in it.
I think there's actually a moment where like you take it from him, but he holds on to it. Like you
have more, right?
No, that's the only piece that I'm aware exists still.
Well, I promise that it will go to good use.
Good. I would hope so. Where did you say you lived again? Did you?
I'm from Bolshaya.
Oh, okay, Bolshaya. And your name was Cotter? Duran, how do you spell that?
Yeah, but you can actually just talk to Costas. That's who I usually work through. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, all right. Well, have a good one. I have to go feed these two ravens that keep pecking at my window now.
And this turtle turns around and like hobbles back over to his desk.
Duran takes the Everfrost and leaves.
Okay. I think on the door closing on Duran, we pan and cut over to V. V, I think we find you with Rev in this particular moment. Where are you?
I think they are in the last room that Vasanti was in with Tiran. Vasanti has asked Rev to do something very particular, and that is try to make contact with Sievert within Grimm.
The two of you are sitting on like opposite seats here, like surrounded by all this opulence, these like hanging chandeliers, there's like vast balcony that overlooks the lake. And she's got Grimm out, balanced across her knees. Yeah, okay, I can try to call his soul up, but whether or not he'll talk or if we can even hear him is, honestly, part of it feels like chance. And whether or not he'll respond to my calling is another thing entirely too.
I appreciate you even making the attempt.
Absolutely. Anything for you, Vasanti. Alright, I'll try to hold it as long as I can, but I have to end it when I end it.
Understood.
we go. And Rev sweeps her hand over the blade. And you see it like shimmer once, twice, and Rev's like grip on the handle tightens and she furrows her brow. And then you see a face start to materialize in the silver of Grimm's blade. Sievert's face.
Sievert, oh my gosh, Sievert, can you hear me?
And Sievert, wordlessly, he's just sort of like looking down off to his like left. And when he speaks, he sort of raises his head and his like blue eyes turn and they lock on you. But his face is kind of almost like blank.
Vasanti knows that her time with this is severely limited, so she just sort of like takes a breath and composes herself. Sievert, I'm so sorry. I don't have very long, so I just need to say this to you. I'm sorry that all of our lies caught up to us. It turns out we were lying to each other all this time, and I understand that you were trying not to hurt me all this time, but you were trying to protect me. And I wish I had known what you were doing at the time. Maybe we could have come up with a plan. We could have come up with a con. We could have figured this out together. And I need you to know that I forgive you for what you had to do. I hope that you can forgive me for what I had to do. And I'm sorry that it ended this way. I wish it could have happened some other way. But I appreciate what you did for me.
As you speak, you see Sievert's eyes become more and more focused, and like his brows kind of furrow, like he's trying to hear you, but you're really far away or something. And he like squints and sort of cocks his head to the side. By the end of it, he like blinks and almost has this like expression of revelation on his face, and then an expression of deep sorrow. And he like raises like his fingers up, you see, and he like places them flat against the scythe.
I think V will take her good hand and also like reach out and like put it on the scythe.
And for like a beat, the two of you just hold there with him looking at you. And then you see his lips move. He's saying something, but you can't hear it. But you see him mouth in Jukan the words, "I love you." And then like a light swashes over his face and he's gone.
V immediately feels her heart just start to explode with emotion as she starts crying. And then she looks up into Rev's eyes. I've made so many mistakes, Rev.
You can't blame yourself for this one. You can't.
You realize I've also killed Tamba.
Tiran killed Tamba, Vasanti. That blood is not on your hands.
He would have never known where she was if I hadn't told Trenchfoot back.
Vasanti. And she like reaches across the scythe to hold your hands in hers. Wasn't your fault. Tiran was a very, very bad person. He hunted down 22,000. One way or another, he would have tried to get what he wanted. Toward the end, he was just trying to guilt you. If you would like, if it would help, maybe I can try to call her up.
There's another rush of emotion from Vasanti, and she's out of a very choked voice. I would like that very much.
She nods and sweeps her hand over the blade again. The light shimmers, and then fading softly to the surface of it, we see Tamba. Short hair, kind of also looks a little spaced out, a little bit like Sievert. Like there's something about the process of calling up a soul that makes them really disoriented, you get the sense? And like she's sort of like looking out mistily, like her eyes are squinted a bit, like her hand is up, like she's aware that there's a barrier in a way that Sievert wasn't immediately. And she's like holding her hand up to like the blade and like furrowing her brow.
Tamba, I hope you can hear me. It's V. My name is Vasanti. You remember me from a year ago? I helped protect you and your newborn baby, but I need you to know, and this is really, V like takes a moment because this is really hard for her to say and admit to Tamba. I have to let you know that I'm so sorry. I told someone where you and Najwa and everyone in your order was, and that's how Tiran found you. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what I did. I'm sorry that I gave away your home. And I need you to know also that we found Najwa and your baby, and they're safe, and we will make sure that they stay safe, and we will protect them with all of our power.
Her eyes seem to fix on yours, seems to find you through the murk of being in Grim, fix upon you, and you see her mouth words as well, in common. And just make me a perception check to see how much you get.
Okay, that is a 17.
You catch several words. Live, time, a while, eventually, safe, Tamba, family, protect. She doesn't look angry. She just looks sad.
V starts, as especially those last few words of family and protect, V just starts nodding vigorously. We will protect, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, he's just running out until probably Tamba starts to dissipate.
I think another light sweeps across it and Tamba's gone. And like Rev lets out a big breath, and we see her like release her grip on Grim's scythe, and we see her hands are trembling a little, and some blood is running down her temple. Like the process of calling up these souls to talk takes a lot out of her. See, Tamba wasn't mad. It seemed like she knew her days were numbered as long as Tiran was hunting her down. We'll protect Najwa, okay? That's what we'll do for her. We'll keep the Copper Steward safe.
Thank you so much, Rev. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Ew, I'm good.
I'm sorry that I let you get captured the way that you were.
It's okay. Tiran, he snuck up on me while we were separated. It's fine. A little scary, but nothing I couldn't handle as the paragon of the Raven Queen. I won't be separated from you ever again, okay?
Yes, we must stay together. We have to. In all of this, we can't afford for something like this to happen again.
Agreed. Ever again. And like Rev sort of tightens her grip on your hand and like nods and looks firmly in your eyes. And I think on that, we cut to the four of you getting ready to leave the Citadel. On the shore in front of the huge iron wall, saying goodbye to like the people who have helped you, the workers like in the Citadel. Like several of them are lined up in front of the door. They're like waving. We see the arborist, the turtle, like the seamstress, whatnot. And they're all like waving goodbye at you. And I think there is a little boat, a little skiff that's come up for all of you to like hop on and then like travel across Nebuza's teardrop back toward the villa. And I think like we just get through a montage of all of you grabbing all your things, like hopping on the skiff, waving goodbye to like the folks who have helped you at the Iron Citadel, who still have no idea what happened with Tiran, right? And like what happened to their Lord Commander and whatnot. And we watch as this skiff sort of travels across this frozen lake, cutting like a V in the water until it eventually leaves that V behind. And then when we reach the opposite shore, I think we see like a hustle and bustle of activity as we find Najwa there. We do see sort of like a moment where the news is broken to Najwa about what happened with Tamba. Like she's got her baby like up against her chest and like surrounded by all these artifacts and like by all these, little tourist stands. She stands there just sort of staring at your party. Like your words kind of falling on like unlistening ears after a certain point. And she just looks like totally dissociated and she sort of like looks off. And then like slowly she just sort of falls to her knees. And like we don't hear this and we don't see this, but we do see her sort of keel over into like a fetal position, cradling her baby as she just lets out these like body racking sobs that just like shakes her entire form as she just bends over and lets out this horrific wail and crying, right? And then we cut to some amount of time later when she's composed herself again, right? And she's like next to a fire, opening up with this letter that Tamba wrote her. And she's like crying these fat tears that are just dribbling onto this letter. And I don't think any of you know what that letter says. I don't think any of you ever read it. But whatever it is, it makes Najwa cry and laugh and smile. And then she like very gently folds up this letter and tucks it lovingly back into the envelope and sort of slips it into like the baby Bjorn. So that one day her child will know what their mother wanted them to know. And I think like on that, like the four of you leave the Chromium Villa, you take, you commission your own sled dogs to like help, you like mush your own dogs like all the way back to Bolshaya. And I think there's this moment in Bolshaya where like all 4 of you are greeted by Elder Rao, this like old satyr man who's like, oh yes, like come in, like we sit down, there's like montages of you all telling your stories. You tell Elder Rao what you agree together to tell Elder Rao about what happened in the Citadel. He's very grateful, right? Notices the recovery of the tapestry that you were looking for, Jiran, and whatnot. And then I think the next scene we find is Jiran at the memorial for everyone whose lives were lost in Bolshaya during the Cataclysm. And I think it's these like beautiful little, like beautiful ice sculptures. The sculptures have the names of everyone whose lives were lost during that disaster. And I think we find you in front of one that has your parents' names carved into it.
Jiran is standing in front of this memorial with their furs wrapped tightly around their body, their hood up, kind of covering their face a little bit as they look down at the graves. Many of them, really not just his parents, but many of them to all of the people that were lost during the Cataclysm, and they have in their hands a flower. I think it's a white flower that only grows like once a year here in this area. It's very rare, and I think thanks to Gentle was able to help find one. Jiran was able to get like a small, tiny little bouquet made, and they kneel down at this memorial and place it gently in front of where their parents would be resting.
Vasanti, steps forward, has been watching Jiran for a bit, I think, giving Jiran some space, but once Jiran has laid this bouquet down, V is going to take that moment to step forward and be silent for a little bit, but observe and look at the names on this memorial. She continues to watch until Jiran maybe says something first.
Jiran hears your footsteps coming in the snow behind them, and they like turn their heads slightly. Vasanti, are you here to pay your respects as well?
I'm here to be beside you while you pay your respects.
Come. And Jiran pats the ground next to him, inviting V to come and sit.
Vasanti comes down to her knees, has on a fur coat at this point, and uses it kind of like as a sort of rest for her knees, and just it's still a little bit awkward. She's still, recovering, and her bad hand is like nowhere near like possibly accidentally hitting the ground. It's up and above while she gets down onto her knees.
My parents, and Jiran gestures to the inscriptions directly in front of them. They were part of the casualties. I wasn't able to save them.
I'm so sorry, Jiran, that you weren't able to save them. I understand that feeling well.
And Jiran looks up at V, eyes looking up from their hood. What do you mean?
Many years ago, I lost my mother. I couldn't save her. She was sick. I couldn't do anything for her. And, there's people who are now gone because of my actions, and I was unable to do anything about it. So I understand failing to protect people or being able to help the people you love.
Does it ever get any easier?
No, there's it's not like a chuckle like it was funny, but like a chuckle of just like, no, it never gets easier.
Well, and Jiran kind of like elbows V very softly. I managed to save you, so maybe things are turning around.
I set a challenge for you when we arrived to Moroz that if you impressed me, I would perhaps attempt something for you. And I must say, your final actions, both in telling me what Tiran was planning for me, and also the fact that you rescued me after I allowed myself to get poisoned, you impressed me, Tiran.
It was the only thing to do. I couldn't let myself fail to save somebody that I cared about again. Not after the last time.
Well, for what it's worth, I'm proud of you. I didn't make it easy on you, and you stuck with it. I give you every reason to be mad at me, to turn the other way, to stay looking at a tapestry that you were waiting for some kind of answer from, and instead you did the right thing, and that's I have my end of a bet to pay up for.
Tiran kind of shifts in the snow, holding the container with the tapestry and kind of like moves it slightly. They've been very guarded of this tapestry ever since they got it. It really doesn't leave their side very much. Oh, don't worry, I was mad at you the whole way through, but yeah, I would love to talk to Scott and Nectus sometime.
I don't exactly have control of them, but we can certainly try.
If you're gonna give up your lives for the gods, I might as well at least see what all the hype is about. Who are these gods, anyway?
That's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. I mean, when I saw them, they ripped my heart out, so...
And I think Tiran kind of like cocks an eyebrow at that, because he didn't know this information before. And I think the rest of the time together, Vasanti and Tiran just kind of sit there and like share their stories. Maybe Vasanti telling that story about having her heart ripped out, and Tiran talking about like their parents and hearing about Paya a little bit more as well. And it feels a little bit warmer in this space than it did before.
And I think on that, a flurry of snow wipes that scene at the memorial away. And the next time we see the four of you, you are standing upon the teleportation dais a little ways away from Bolshaya, looking down at this massive crevasse that has hacked this beautiful capital town in two. But the four of you, as you're upon this dais, flanked by Costas, Rev, and Bud, we pan up your bodies, right, to see you in your final forms, your final versions, right, before you zap out for Arc 6. So let's start with Gentle. What do we see as we pan up your body?
I think there's a newfound confidence as Gentle feels really good about the work they've done here, whether that be helping investigate the poison or just actively making Endake a little bit more full of life. I think Gentle has a resolve on their face. They're smiling at Bud and probably giving them a scratch right between the ears.
I love that. And now we're going to pan over to Tiran.
Tiran stands on this dais with the large tapestry on their back, and in one hand they're holding a small hand loom that was gifted to them by Elder Bahaku as sort of a gift, a thank you of some kind. And as they step up onto the dais, they kind of come up next to Gentle, and Tiran like slips his free hand into Gentle's hand and kind of gives it a squeeze.
And then we pan up to Abiku.
The camera pans up and then back down as Abiku was polishing a cannon and like getting like some dirt out of the inscription of her friend and commander, Captain Lua. You see Costas next to her, and she kind of looks over, and Costas is carrying like an armful of like wrapped artifacts of all the like artifacts of the other leaders that need to go not to the Citadel. And so there's like the sword and the bow and like everything is like wrapped up nicely, and Costas kind of like puts it next to Abiku, and she stands up and gets ready to get teleported.
And then we pan down from Abiku to Vasanti.
Vasanti is right beside Rev, and as everyone's getting prepared on this dais, she's looking out onto the horizon of Moroz. She looks down at her hand, obvious symbol of what she's lost, and she sees down her arm, you know, these purple and green scars from where she almost disintegrated in the nothing plane, and she looks the most vulnerable she's ever looked, like as if she looks younger in a way. She looks almost like a child looking at the world for the first time, because she doesn't know how to interact with this world as Vasanti yet. She's scared and feeling quite vulnerable, but as she's taking these last few moments to sort of take in these surroundings one last time, because this will in all likelihood be her last time in Moroz, so she's just trying to take that last snapshot of what this place is and what it means and what she's been through in this place before she leaves it for the last time.
And on that, golden threads of light start to shoot up from this dais, and all of your bodies begin to shimmer with this same light, and all of you disappear in just a column of pure radiant magic. leaving Bolshaya behind and looking toward Dr. Luso's cottage for the next leg of your journey. We're gonna hold on that darkness for a bit after our heroes disappear from the dais. And then we're gonna fade back in on a room. A bedroom. A quite large bedroom, actually. A bedroom fit for a champion. We see a large bed, a training area even, various weapons placed upon hooks, a fire pit, a lounge space, big windows, and sort of, I think, knelt in the middle of the floor, polishing a zither, is Atalanta. We see this proud Triton woman, former champion of Nabal, felled by her own trident at the hands of bloodthirst. We see her polishing the wood of the zither, her green hair falling in her eyes as her brow is furrowed, the smell of wood oil drifting in the air. She pauses with the rag, senses something behind her. She lifts her head, turns around, stands up, in her version of the after, in her little pocket within Grim. She strides over to one of the windows and sort of tilts her head, brow still furrowed, and then opens up the curtains to see pure blackness, as it's always been within her chamber within Grim. Just darkness, not the empty oblivion of the nothing plane, but the soft, everlasting darkness and the sweetness of death. The friendly embrace of the Raven Queen around her, but her eyes become fixed upon one point in this darkness. A point that was not there before, ever, in any sense of the word. A pinprick of light. A shining star. A perforation into the after. So on that has been Arc 6, Episode 16, the final episode of Arc 6 of Transplanar RPG. Thank you so much. I've been your GM and executive producer, Connie, pronouns they, he, and she. Find me on the internet at @byConnieChong. I'm going to pass along introductions for the last time with this constellation of people up and over to Dare.
Hi, I'm Dare. I'm just nice. You can find me on all parts of the internet at Dare to Dream RPG. That is DARE, the number 2, DREAM RPG, where I am just a disaster who's constantly yelling about Superman. And Gentle looked a lot like Superman today, so I'm very happy about that. I'm going to throw it down to Erica.
Hi, everybody. I'm Erica, still played Vasanti. Who knows what's happening next, and I am just shooketh. Yeah, you can find me at Erica New Girl everywhere that I exist on the interwebs. Come watch me on Twitch sometime. I promise it'll be a good time. I will pass it over to Humna.
Yes, hello. My name is Humna. I use any and all pronouns, and today I was Duran Gather, who uses they, he pronouns. Growth? Did somebody say growth? I think growth happened. I am a TTRPG performer, and you can find me on Twitter at @shahid_, where I talk about all the different projects I'm a part of. If you like what I do, you should follow me there to see where I am at any given point in time. And I will pass it up and over to Austin.
Hey everybody, I'm Austin, and you can find me on Twitter at SalesCutAustin, at Sailor SCT Austin. I got done playing, my pronouns are he, they, she, and I got done playing Abiku Ishtar. You want to talk about growth? I mean, I think I was the tallest one. Whose pronouns are she, her. I'm a game designer, performer, player, and friend. Find me on Twitter. I already said that part.
Yes, and now finally, this has been so amazing. Everyone, thank you so much for watching Arc 6. Tune in next Saturday at 8 p.m. US Eastern Time for our Arc 6 interlude at Dr. Luso's cottage on Adolin. It's a New Year's special with all of the PCs involved, so it's gonna be a big one. What's going on with that star? We'll find out. We'll see, right? Bye. We're gonna rate someone, give them a follow if you like their stuff. Use the Ray Message in chat. We love you so much. See you next Saturday. Bijou for the last time for Arc 6. Bye-bye!